Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Aha, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you for joining us today on another insanely crazy, this one is wild, Crime and Sports here. As we're going to go back in time. We have a nice old-timey one. There is some very funny, this is going to be... I once in a while my classic sensor goes off, and this is one where I'm just like, whew, it's got all the tropes here. It's really
outstanding.
It's a crazy episode. Can't wait to get to it. First, though, a couple of things. Let's do some house cleaning. Your Stupid Opinions. Have you heard it yet?
Oh, it's out.
If you
it's
haven't heard it yet, you are missing it because it's hilarious. If you have enjoyed any moment of any podcast we've ever made, we assure you, you will love Your Stupid Opinions wherever you listen to podcasts. So check that out. Also, of course, listen to Small Town Murder while you're at it.
Sure.
Just so we could fill your week up. Don't worry about it there.
Oh, yeah.
You definitely also want to get on Patreon. There's another way we can fill up your schedule here.
Sure.
Patreon.com/crimeinsports will get you everything. The whole bonus 200 episodes to binge on. Everything. For all that for $5 a month. Like
$5.
A cup of coffee or all that. And then new episodes every other week, including this week, which you're going to get this week. We're going to talk about for Crime and Sports. We're going to do another part of athletes who enjoy paying for sex and who enjoy getting caught doing it because otherwise we wouldn't be talking about them. I would have no way. I would have no way of knowing if you don't get caught what you're doing. So this is definitely that.
Keep it under wraps.
Then for Small Town Murder, we're going to go back to Manhattan, Montana, to that serial killer we had there a couple weeks ago and talk about his confession, David Meyerhofer, and his absolutely bonkers confession of killing multiple people, 4 people, and just in horrible ways. And it's pretty graphic. So, we'll get into all of that. That's patreon.com/crimeandsports. And you get a shout out at the end of the show. And also go to shutupandgivememurder.com. Get your tickets for everything. Tickets for live shows. Dallas for Small Town Murder still available. And I don't know when this, if you listen to this right when it comes out, if you listen early.
You better hurry.
Actually, if you listen when it comes out, whatever, virtual live show for Small Town Murder.
It's still there.
October 26th or a week after that, you can listen or watch it, our Halloween spectacular. It's going to be fun. Creepy episode. We're wearing costumes. We can't wait.
You betcha.
That's shutupandgivememurder.com/virtual live is where you get those. So do that, and let's get into this week because we got a lot of show here for a really interesting man. Let's talk about him. No one's heard. Well, if you're a run-of-the-mill sports fan, you certainly have not heard of this guy. Jacob Louis Molinas.
No.
Molinas is Jack Molinas, his name is. Here. He's a basketball player.
Oh.
Old school, though. Very old school.
No kidding.
Yeah. Black and white basketball player. And I don't mean the players, I mean the film.
Is that his name?
The players were all white, but the film was black and white back then. So that's when he was playing ball back in those days here. He's born on Halloween, October 31st, 1931.
Oh. Little creepy guy.
Yeah, old school. He would be 100 coming up here in a few years.
No kidding.
If he was still alive. Yes, indeed. Which he might be. You don't know. Maybe he's an old man, and at the end of this, we're going to splice in an interview that we did with him. You never know. He's born in New York City. A couple of discrepancies whether he's born in Manhattan or the Bronx, but we don't know. So who knows? Either one. So we'll talk about him here. His mother is Benvenuta Molinas. Benvenuta goes by Betty. And his father is Louis Jacob Molinas. And he's got a brother named Julius, who they call Julie Molinas. So there you go.
What?
Everything
That's
is
a tough kid, I imagine, yeah.
I think everything was E back then. You're something E, something. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So Julius was Julie. Julius is too many syllables. It's 3.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Not putting up with that. You get 2 syllables out of me, asshole. I'm busy, see? I only got time for 2 syllables, see? It's like the 40s, you know?
Yeah.
So he's I guess he's kind of grew up in a family's like middle class and grows up in Coney Island, actually.
No
Yes,
shit.
Coney Island in Brooklyn there. That's where
Birthplace of the hot dog.
him, the hot dog, and Stefan Marbury all walking around. That's what you get there. Sebastian Telfair.
Yeah.
One of those shoot first point guards was from
Sure.
there. Might be both, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're cousins, right?
Yes, they are. So that might be why.
Yeah, sure.
So they grow up. The neighborhood is kind of centered around the Eagle Bar, it's called, on Surf Avenue in Coney Island. That's where he grows up. The bar was operated by his parents. So his parents own a bar. So basically, that's their living room is the bar.
Yeah.
So he hangs around, listens to people. Back then,
say horrible things.
Back then, it's just, very blue-collar workers and criminals. That's who hangs out in bars.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it goes. So he listens to all the tough guys sit around and tell stories and talk, and a lot of racketeers and gamblers and that kind of shit hanging around.
Yeah, he's likely seen a fight or 7.
Oh, yeah, all sorts of shit. And he also, he figures out how kind of business works, underground business works, being a young child, because he just always hears it. As a 12-year-old... That's when he discovered basketball and got really into it here. That was the time when he was like, oh, shit, basketball is something, And he's 6'6", which is
very helpful.
Back then, if you're going to be that tall, there's not, 1950, there wasn't a lot of people that were 6'6". They considered George Mikan a giant because he was 6'10", That was like, oh, my God, he's so huge. Look at him. So in multiple articles, he's been described as a playground legend in NYC back then. So
really,
talking first generation NYC playground legend before
there were playgrounds then.
Yes, there's always been. Yeah, there's always been. Wherever there's a hoop, he's near it there. And so he became a good player at Stuyvesant High School, but he was also into other shit here, not only basketball. Because when he was 12, he discovered basketball, and he also discovered gambling. That he really enjoyed gambling.
Yeah.
And
you find that in the bar real quick.
Big time, especially in some bar in Brooklyn here in the 40s.
Sure.
You're going to run into quite a bit of that sort of thing. And he has basically started point shaving as a player.
Oh, is that right?
In high school.
Wow.
He's been on the take since like the 9th, 10th grade.
7th grade.
Yes.
Or 17 years old.
Which is amazing because at that point, just to even think to do that as a child is amazing. And
Genius.
Then at the same time, that also tells me the other thing that's crazy, that there's people betting on high school basketball games back then. Like enough money to where it would matter to pay off the sophomore
the
small
player.
forward to miss that foul shot at the end.
The backup.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you don't hear that often. We haven't heard. Usually, all of our guys, even if they're getting in trouble, stealing cars or something, on the court, on the field, they're usually pure, at least for a while. Even on our show.
Yeah, the integrity of the game tends to matter to them because they're in love with it still. They're not looking for how to make money off of this. He's trying to make money already.
This is a guy who finds a pube and a fucking and a bet to take at the same age. Takes
same day.
A bribe and a pube on the same day.
Yeah.
This is very interesting here. He gets offered a basketball scholarship from Columbia, which is a very good school.
That's prestigious too, right?
Yeah,
it's like educational.
It's like an Ivy League type of school, but back then they were big in athletics as well because Lou Gehrig went to Columbia.
Is that right?
Yeah.
No shit.
Lou Gehrig went to Columbia, absolutely. So
how about that?
Now Jack planned to become a dentist. That was his plan.
Really?
Yeah, because pro basketball at this point,
there's no money in
the late 40s, it just started. It was fleeting. No one knew if it would last. There's no money in it. It was if you had a decent regular job, you might make more than playing basketball. It's just the way it was. And that went all the way up until the late 60s, till the ABA drove the prices up for everybody. But so he ends up going to Columbia. 1950 is his first year in Columbia. They're 21-1 that year.
Not bad.
Not bad. 12-0 in the Ivy League conference or whatever the hell it was here. Coach Lou Rossini, of course, is their coach.
Lou Rossini beating up on Harvard and Yale.
Big Lou, come over here. Get over here. Come here. I got to talk to you for a minute. Yeah, so he's Jack was 6'4" at the time, and looking at his team, there's two other guys that are 6'5". Those are the tallest people they have.
Wow.
So that's
nerds don't generally grow very big.
No, they usually, if they're 6'7", it's tough to be a nerd because people are constantly, when people tell you you're wonderful and shove a ball in your hand all the time, it's hard for people to consider you a nerd. You know?
Well, it's tough to be a nerd with your dick in all these mouths.
That's
what it is.
Well, hot girls talk to you. Hey, nerd, why don't you stop talking to that cheerleader, nerd? You don't hear that very often. Hey, stop fingering that cheerleader, you fucking dork. We give you a wedgie. That's not normal. You don't usually hear that. He just dunked and fingered a cheerleader. He thinks he's cool. Yes, he does think he's cool.
Only reason he's wearing a pocket protector is to not have this lube bottle leak all over his shirt.
He needs it. He needs to keep it steady. Jesus Christ. So, he's one of the tallest guys on the team here. He led the team in scoring in 1951 with 331 points.
Wow.
Yeah, he had 14.4 points and 14.9 rebounds a game.
A game?
So he's doing 15 and 15.
Double-double.
At 6'4", yeah. So that's pretty damn good, I got to say here. He was named a Converse All-America honorable mention.
Converse.
Because Converse was the only shoe back then. That was the only thing they had.
That thing will destroy your fucking ankle.
Oh, Christ. There's no ankles. It's a thin, microscopic piece of canvas. Nice ankle support.
That you lace to holy fuck all the way around your foot.
Say you lace it around it. That way maybe you can, just from laces, gain a little ankle support. And it's, no, you're going to snap your ankle. And all the players played in that shit back then.
Unbelievable.
You're playing low-top Converse. You're like, what are you doing? You're going to hurt yourself.
Jesus Christ, man.
So they were number 3 in the nation when they entered the NCAA tournament. But they ended up losing in the first round to Illinois, even though Molinas had 20 points and did very well. So
incredible.
Not too bad here. He's a pretty good player. October 51, this is fucking interesting. Here's just from a newspaper back then. We'll read a lot of old newspaper stuff. Molinas created a stir at Columbia by dropping a glass filled with water out of his dormitory window onto a professor's car.
Wow.
Which will make a big water
dent.
Yeah. He was just showing off his knowledge of physics, where if you drop the water, it'll really pick up speed quick and fuck that car up. Good.
See, watch immovable object and moving object.
Yeah,
I just want to express gravity and shit.
Two objects can't occupy the same space at the same time. Go. I'm demonstrating lots
of theories at once
of physics here, all at once for everybody. There's a bunch of small children over there that I'm doing a demonstration for. It left a big dent in the hood, and then he was suspended for 6 months for that.
6 months?
From school. Yeah, they kicked him out of school for 6 months.
Jesus.
And we'll talk more about the water glass later. That'll come up. But they talk about him as a freshman in college. He was approached by a gambler named Joe Hacken and offered money to shave points. Gambler shit. That's been going on for years. He said no, and he said that it wasn't worth the risk of getting kicked out of the school and basketball and everything else. And he wasn't hurting for cash at the time, too. So he was like, I'm good. But then when he returned from his suspension after 6 months, he was not as...
Now he's a little broke.
He wasn't as patriotic about the school and all that either. He was like, fuck them. They kick me out for a glass of water for 6 months. You know what? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this point shaving here. So this is like the pinnacle all-time of sports point shaving is in the early 50s, because this is when the government investigators were still under the edict from J. Edgar Hoover that organized crime did not exist.
Okay.
So you couldn't come as an FBI guy back to the clubhouse a lot of the times and say, hey, I got an organized crime thing, because they'd go, well, that's not true.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So it was a thing like that. That was kind of the...
Was Hoover trying to say it doesn't exist as like to not spend money on investigating?
As to be probably on the payroll, or not on the payroll so much as people having a lot of blackmail material on him.
Oh, keeping people away from investigating it because I don't want my underwear drawer being looked through.
That's the I wouldn't even call it a conspiracy theory anymore because it's
pretty much the truth.
It's kind of been just a lot of come out since then to make it pretty much. You could pretty much, but I mean that's what you hear. I mean we don't know. Right. We can never be sure what happened in Hoover's office 70 years ago, but still.
As a child, I've heard nothing except for fishnet stockings. You know what I mean?
That's what you hear about it.
And my uncle knew the man. I should probably ask my uncle.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
He knew him.
Yeah.
He fucking. I'm asking him. Fuck it.
Did
he wear fishnets or what?
Well, we know he did. That's not disputed. We knew that. No, that's not.
What part do you want? What part's disputed?
Whether other people use that to blackmail him or not. That's the part that's like, we're 90% sure. Yes.
Yeah.
But there's no way to know that for sure because it's not like in the newspaper, Hoover blackmailed by, it happens in an office somewhere where you don't see it. So
I don't know if my uncle would be thrilled to tell me that information.
Yeah, because politicians did it too.
Yeah.
That was Nixon's whole thing with not being afraid of Hoover because he had a lot of info on Hoover from when he was vice president.
I know
he was
that
like,
guy. Yeah.
You got shit on me, I got shit on you, motherfucker. Let's, guns in our holsters.
Hoover, right. And then Hoover died single. He never was married.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean,
he was buried with like another dude.
That's fine. That's not the controversial part.
But
it's whether he's getting bribed, whether that left him open to being
to keep people from
to being viable at that point. So,
but I think it was.
Yeah, and that's anything back then. If you went to an opium hut and when you were 22, they'd hold that over your head, or anything that made you not Leave It to Beaver, flag saluting, looking American on TV.
Yeah.
They were, that could ruin you.
Squeaky clean, short sleeve, striped up and down button up. It was what a bizarre thing to want to look like, too.
It really was.
What a bizarre fucking way to want to represent yourself.
What an odd way of that's the only way people are good is if they look like this.
Stepford bullshit. Yeah. Fuck that.
It's strange. I don't get it either,
Gross.
Obviously. You know how I feel about
thank
it.
you.
But I don't understand. Everybody wanted the same car. They all wanted the same house. Right. They all wanted the same fucking outfit, the same pants. They'd mow their lawn wearing fucking dress pants. Like, what are we all doing?
A 57 Chevy in the driveway and a fucking 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. Fuck this place. This is a nightmare.
The minute I put like my dress belt on to go outside to mow my lawn, I think I know there's a problem at this point, right?
Yeah. Some thin striped socks.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I doing?
What am I doing right now? Make sure my cuffs are good at my hems. Like,
make sure my neighbor doesn't see me drink. Fuck that.
No, can't be drinking. Got to be out there looking your best. Fucking crazy. So that's the 50s.
Good for you, J. Edgar. I wish you well.
Yeah. And while this was all going on the surface, everybody looking perfect and all the Leave It to Beaver shit, underneath, any kind of crime and corruption just ran wild with graft. And it was just everywhere. So the point shaving got to be a big deal. I guess in Molinas' case, the hacking guy came up to him again, offered him $5,000, which is a shitload of money back then.
Fuck yeah, it is.
In 1950, that's like 3 years average salary. So that's a lot. Yeah. To make sure Columbia didn't cover the spread against Holy Cross.
See, that's where I got a problem, but all right, go on.
That's what it is. So Molinas...
When you're losing...
Well, you just don't cover the spread. It doesn't matter if it's a loss or not. Columbia was favored. So it was...
Okay, all right.
If we're favored by 12, let them only win by 9, please.
Yeah.
And I win. That's the way you can convince these kids to shave points back then is because you're like, I'm not asking you to lose. I'd never ask you to lose. Okay. I'm just saying don't win by 15, win by 13. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's not so bad.
Foul a guy at the end just to mean, I tripped and fell into him. He shot 2, and now we're only up by 13, and the spread was 14. Oh, well.
All right.
That's how they get.
So bad.
And that's how kids go, oh, yeah, that doesn't seem so bad. I still have integrity. I'm still not trying to lose
We still got to win. Yeah.
And then you're fucked at that point because then you're in.
Yeah, because then you're part of it.
Molinas told Hacken to bet the money for him instead of giving it to him. That's what a gambler he is. He said, roll it over, by the way.
Oh, boy.
I don't even want the money. Just fucking put it in for me. That's how confident I am in my abilities to throw this fucking game for you or to shave points. Molinas scored 39 points and had 22 rebounds that night.
You can't suspect he's on it.
Nope, because Columbia lost to Holy Cross in overtime. So the Holy Cross was playing so well, he didn't have to do anything because they couldn't win. They were getting beat either way. So he didn't have to throw shit. He scored 39 points and 22 rebounds just to try to – he wanted to win the game and just not cover the spread. They ended up not winning the game. So apparently Hacken thought, due to Molinas' performance, that Molinas had backed out of the whole thing, which is stupid because you won anyway. What do you care?
Yeah, what's the difference? You've got cash in your pocket.
Yeah, Molinas said, you got what you wanted? What the fuck? That's we were losing. That was the problem. I was trying to win and not cover. So Hacken gave him his money. And by the end of the season, they did this a few more times where Molinas would bet his money with him as well. And he had gotten over $100,000 from Hacken for throwing more games. $100,000 in 1951.
Wow. Why would you not?
How could you not? That's what I mean. No one suspects it. He didn't throw games.
Right.
And he got $100,000. That's like $1 million now.
Wow.
More than that. That's crazy. How would you not do that?
How do we not know who this motherfucker is?
That's wild.
He's got to hide that in a dorm room somewhere because you can't have that reported.
No, fuck no. It's fucking dirty cash from the streets.
Yeah,
you can smell prostitutes on it. Like this was in a woman's bra before she gave it to a guy who put it down his pants. Who then
that smells like a thoroughly sucked nipple.
Yeah,
that's what that smells like.
That smells like. I believe there's semen on this 20. I'm pretty sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Just to see here. So
so much semen. Andrew Jackson's nose is running.
Yeah, is that what it goes? Andrew Jackson doing coke? Oh no, that's semen. So $100,000, but the problem is after the season's over, he's sitting around and he's still a gambler.
Yeah.
Except now he doesn't have any sure things because he's not a part of them. So he just pisses all of his money away, losing it gambling on baseball games all summer.
Oh, no.
Baseball's a really difficult sport to gamble at unless you're like an expert at baseball gambling. It's tough.
It really is amazing
hard
to watch that because you can look at a team. I mean, granted, it's a lineup that's pretty common. You know what I mean? Their lineup is pretty well set in stone. Unless somebody's injured, you know who's playing. That lineup can score 13 tonight. Tomorrow they'll score 2.
There's so many
what
games.
The shit?
There's so many games that it's such a just when you work up like a mathematical model of it. There's so many games that literally anything is possible in any game because the odds of it are because you have so many at bats. That's why football's a lot easier to do, and that's not even easy.
Right.
Really
and the variables in baseball, like a pitcher now and today with the pitch count and stuff, the starting pitcher may be out after the third inning because he's thrown so many balls and people have torn fouls off him all night. He may be up to fucking 70 pitches by the end of the third inning.
And you'll see a guy who's normally, lights out. He comes in, he gets bombed in the first inning. That happens a lot. It's every once in a while that's going to happen to the best pitcher in the fucking league.
Yeah.
It's just
and all of a sudden you're facing relievers for 6 innings.
Yeah. They're trying to piece together something behind them, and it's a totally different game.
Piecemealing this whole game. And then all of a sudden they could score fucking 2 or fucking 32. Yeah. We don't know.
You bet on I think it'll be like a 2-1 game, and it turns out that, it's a mess and
13-6.
Who the fuck knows?
19 fucking runs were scored today? That's
Jesus,
crazy.
It's a lot. So Jack says here, this is I got to give him in their own words for this because
let's hear Jack.
This really it's a short one, but it really sums up a guy. When you sum up a guy this well, I think he needs to have it under music. In their own words, quote, "I was really into gambling. I didn't care about the money. I never did. Gambling was action. Winning was glory. Money was just a way of keeping score. The real fun was moving the numbers around. Even later on, that was the fun, the excitement."
Moving the numbers around.
Yeah, it's not even like top level college sports isn't enough competition and excitement for him.
Yeah, he needs the whole thing.
Yeah. And that's how gamblers think about it, too. We always think about, how the fuck could you bet that much money? Right. They don't look at money as money.
Yeah.
Like, they're like this, they're like stock. I'm reading a book about the whole FTX debacle and the Sam Fried guy and all that.
That shit is nuts.
And the way these brokers work and these traders on Wall Street work is they basically, money is just, that's what it is. It's the score. That's how you keep score. The whole thing's a game to them. It's a game. How do you set up a model? How do you predict things? How do you look at patterns to get this? And it's a game, and the money keeps score. That's all they look at it as. They don't care about the money.
A plus sign is winning. That's all it is.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
It's credits. It's not even dollars.
Exactly. That's when and this guy got into the Bitcoin shit, which that's all it was. It was about collecting. That's Mario money at that point because they didn't even know. Yeah. You know, they had it in countries they couldn't get it out of and shit. So it was like it didn't even.
And they were doing it at portions, right? So it was like
there were. It's a long story.
It's not like one to one. It's like there's decimals all over the fucking place.
There's no way to explain it quickly. Put it that way. Like because I have to read the rest of it to even. I don't understand finance. I'm a fucking idiot. I don't understand financial things. But
it's a very concentrated orange juice.
It is. It's a Michael Lewis book, and his shit is he really gets a good way. He's the guy who wrote The Big Short and shit like that. So he has a really good way of breaking stuff down where a moron can understand it, which is helpful because I'm a moron. So it's good. So 51-52 season. Columbia goes 12-10 this year.
Uh-oh.
So not as good here. Old Lou's probably pissed. Lou Rossini's doing some yelling and screaming, I would say, at this point. Mm-hmm. Jack, though, 16.8 points. You ready for this? 24.9 rebounds a game.
That's 6'4".
The man averaged 25 rebounds a game.
Unreal.
That's Wilt Chamberlain fucking numbers as a 6'4" guy. I get it that he's playing against Ivy League guys, but they had good sports back then, actually. They weren't. It wasn't as bad as it is now. Wow, that's 24.9 rebounds a game is remarkable.
That's staggering.
I don't even know what to say about that. That's insane. So 50 nowadays, that guy'd be coming at it for the draft. Jesus Christ, 25 boards a game. 52-53, they go 17-6 here. Again, I'm looking at their roster. There is this year, I don't see anyone over 6. Oh, there's 6'6". Dick. Oh, are you kidding me?
Oh boy.
The biggest man on the team, the biggest swinging cock on this team is named
Shaft?
Dick Johnson. Not Richard. It says on his basketball reference, Dick Johnson.
Dick Johnson.
He's okay with that. Cock. Jack this year, 21.6 points, so ups his points, and 16.7 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
He is killing it on the court, but he's also now a full-fledged gambling partner with Hacken. They have like their own business now.
He's in it to win it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
a bookie.
He's the captain of the basketball team as a senior.
Jesus Christ.
While just making huge dough gambling shit and, shaving points and all that sort of thing. February 19th, 1953, he scored a school record 41 points in their victory over Princeton, where they kicked the shit out of Princeton. It's been broken since then at Columbia, but during that time, that was the most anyway. Sure. So he's doing amazingly. He is betting on other college games, bets on his own team. On top of that, he would shave points. He'd throw games if necessary. Yeah. He would win games he'd shave points and just know how to make a bad pass around the...
You don't get to be a part of the game and run the book.
But he's doing that. Yeah.
That seems like a conflict of interest. Like, how do you even take a bet with that guy? I guess you bet with Hackett, right? And Hacken.
That's the thing. Yeah, Hacken.
And you don't know that he's part of it?
Yeah, he's the only guy who knows, and that way you can lay your bets off all around the country. Right. But after a while, there would be whatever he's betting, they know that this is the way it goes on Columbia, and that would move the line, so you'd have to bet it under other people and lay it off other places.
Wow.
It's fucking complicated to do gambling schemes and not have everyone understand exactly what you're doing right away.
Right.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer.
I can really show you how to make some money.
And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a micro-city built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
There's Charlie Rosen, who's an author and a former ball player here. He wrote this about, you've heard of Charlie Rosen there.
Yeah, Charlie Rosen's very popular.
Yeah, he wrote about Molinas in his book. He said, quote, "To Molinas, playing in a rigged game was more exhilarating than playing it straight. Was it time to kick a pass out of bounds or get called for a 3-second violation? Or should he go on a scoring binge to make his own statistics respectable? Molinas loved the idea of playing so many secret games at the same time."
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's just a scumbag. I mean, it's all
he's just having a party all by himself.
All by himself. Like, no one knows what's going on here.
That's crazy.
So the 1953 NBA draft comes up, and I see the look on your face. You're going, "Oh no!"
Yeah. I know who it is.
The draft is held on April 24th, 1953. It's the 7th annual draft. So that tells you how much there. In this draft, there was 9 teams in the NBA.
Wow.
Selecting people. And this draft consisted of 19 rounds, where 122 people are picked. The first 3 picks were territorial picks, which the ABA had this as well. Every team in the league had on a map, you could see like a certain region, like a wrestling territory, and all the colleges in that's their territory. So during the territorial draft, they can pick, and they have the rights to anybody from there. They can pick, and no one else can pick. For the first
3 rounds?
For the first 3 picks, I guess. I don't know if it's the first 3 rounds or what, but there's only 9 teams, so that could be.
Right, so it doesn't matter, yeah.
So then they would end up doing that here. So in the they wanted the local support of people. It was anybody within a 50-mile radius of the home arena. That was how territories worked.
That's smart, and in the beginnings of a league to try to get local pride in it. And the way to get local pride is to have a hometown boy.
And the ABA did the same thing. The USFL sort of did the same thing, but then if a guy didn't want to sign with that team, they'd make him sign somewhere else. But I mean, they had the same rules. Every startup league does that territorial shit because it helps. Because that is the way you get. If you're some fledgling startup football league. Mm-hmm. You can get all the NFL cast-offs that played at Florida State if your team is based in Gainesville, and you get some people to come watch it. So, first 3 picks were territorial picks, and then the rest are normal. Who is the first territorial pick?
Dick Van Arsdale.
It is not. It is Ernie Beck.
Oh yeah,
played for the Philadelphia Warriors. As I'm sure you know. Philadelphia Warriors back then, yeah.
Oh, my God.
People moved
all the way across the fucking country?
All right, regular pick. First regular pick in the draft. Number 1 overall pick, Jimmie.
Yeah, it was E.J. Hollingsworth.
Yeah, you're close, actually. Ray Felix.
Oh, yeah.
He's a center drafted by the Baltimore Bullets at the time.
Baltimore Bullets before they went to D.C., huh?
Yeah, and the college he went to was Long Island, which I don't know if there's a university on Long Island pumping out NBA players.
It's a community college now.
Jesus Christ, it has to be. Bob Hauer-Breggs, number 2. Number 2,
Yikes.
number 2. I just said number 3 overall, Jack Molinas.
Is that right?
Yeah, look at his numbers. It makes sense.
Yeah, you can't. How do you pick anybody else with fucking 25 rebounds?
That's what I mean. You know who he was picked by?
No.
The Fort Wayne Pistons.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne, Indiana?
Yeah, Fort Wayne.
Wow.
And then there was the Rochester Royals picked after him, which I think they moved to Cincinnati possibly later on. That's I believe. Boston Celtics still around. Syracuse Nationals were a NBA team at that point, which I thought you'd find. And then the Minneapolis Lakers, of course. Philadelphia Warriors, Milwaukee.
That makes so much sense.
Yes. Yeah, now it all makes sense.
Did I never know that?
You didn't know they moved from Minneapolis? Yeah. When they had like George Mikan back then and all that, they were the Minneapolis
That was Minneapolis.
Lakers. Yeah, and then they went to Los Angeles, and now they're the Lakers, even though there's no lakes there.
Holy shit, yeah.
Remember the beginning of basketball?
Up there.
The Lakers moved
that's right.
from Minnesota to Los Angeles where there are no lakes. The Jazz moved from New Orleans to Utah where they don't allow music.
God damn it, Trey Parker, I love you.
That was fucking hilarious. So, yes, he's the number 3 overall draft pick here.
Unbelievable.
Outside of the territorial drafts, yeah. So, Fort Wayne Pistons, here we come. 53-54, Fort Wayne Pistons are 40-32.
Okay.
Coached by Paul Birch. They go to the playoffs. They, what the hell? How do you lose 2 rounds of the playoffs? They lost the NBA Western Division round robin versus Minneapolis. I guess it was a double elimination because there's only 9 teams in the league.
Right, yeah, because how the fuck else are you going to crown a champion?
So they get swept by the Lakers 0-2, and then they do another one and get swept by the Royals 0-2.
I mean, that solidifies it. You stink.
You suck. Get the fuck out of here. Everybody on this team, I don't think you've heard of anybody, or I don't think I have heard of most. Mel Hutchins, Andy Phillip, Larry Faust, Jack Molinas, Max Zaslofsky, Fred Scolari, George Yardley, Monk Meineke, like the muffler, Frankie Bryan, Fred Schaus, Leo Barnhorst, Ken Murray, Chuck Scher, and Zeke Sinicola.
That sounds like a bunch of guys that can't jump more than 11 inches.
That sounds like a lot of guys with fucking Brill cream in their hair.
Yeah, that's a lot of layups right there.
Wow, that's a whole lot of layups. Wow. December 21st, 1953. This is the Bayonne Times, so New York paper here.
Yeah.
Wisecracking Molinas makes boast good in basketball. That's the headline. Mm-hmm. It says, the first time Fort Wayne came into Madison Square Garden to play the Knickerbockers, Paul Birch of the Pistons grabbed Jack Molinas by the arm in the pregame huddle. Watch yourself with Gallatin, he said Coach Birch. He's big and tough. Stay away from him until you learn your way around the league. Okay. Molinas looked around, looked at Gallatin, and replied, "Oh, don't worry, Skipper. I can take care of him."
Skipper.
Oh, gee golly shucks, Skipper. I got him. Don't worry, I'll have 3 guys break his leg outside later. I think he owes us a couple of bucks.
I know a few guys that don't like him.
Yeah. Sticking to orders, Molina stayed out the outside and was apparently a good boy. A good boy. But when he connected with 2 long set shots, the cockiness of the 6'6" and a quarter Columbia alumnus showed himself. He drove in and spun off Gallatin for a layup, came back to score with a hook. He began to come down with the ball in every rebounding scuffle that pitted him against the New York toughie. Pretty soon, the coach inserted a substitute for Gallatin, and Molinas walked to the sideline and yelled at his coach, "What did I tell you?" That's considered wisecracking back then.
Yeah. What'd I tell you?
They said he's making himself known in professional basketball as the cockiest.
That's cocky.
The cockiest guy on the court goes, "I think I can take care of him." You cocky, arrogant bastard, you.
Told you I had confidence in myself.
Wow.
That's a far cry from kicking somebody in the dick.
Just for fun, I would love to I want time travel to exist for several reasons. Obviously, the Dahmer-Hitler paragon that we talked about there. But I really just want to airdrop Allen Iverson into the league in 1953. Just pluck him out from like 97 and go bloop and drop him into the league where that's considered cocky, and have him go, "Practice? We're talking about practice." That would be awesome, just to watch the chaos. Or some
other shit he says. Anything
that'd
he
be
says.
amazing.
Jesus.
They said he's pro basketball's answer to baseball's Billy Lowe's, and experts declare him to be the best rookie to break into the National Basketball Association since Bob Cousy came out of Holy Cross.
Cousy.
And Bob Cousy's a very large legend, too.
Yeah, he's everything.
He's for Boston. That's a big guy here. He is the slickest. Hard to tell with this newspaper. Looks like it was folded here in the reproduction.
Suckest?
He's the suckest. He's the slickest to emerge from the Ivy League since that ancient group took up the winter sport invented by Dr. James A. Naismith. Molinas can burn up the boards if the game turns into one of those fire horse affairs. Fire horse?
What the fuck does that mean?
What the fuck does that mean, sir? Wow. Fire
horse.
I can make neither hide nor hair nor mane of this. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I want to know so bad. Should I look it? I want to know what a
fire horse.
What fire horse is.
One of those horse affairs. Is that when you bang a girl who gives you gonorrhea? It's a fire horse affair.
I don't know. It's the superstition is a woman born in the year of the fire horse. What?
I don't think we're going to get to the bottom.
I don't think I'm going to get
this
it.
This is like 50s slang, I think, and we're not.
I think you might be right.
50s reporter slang. It's a real fire horse out there.
Yeah.
Long Island specific. Rapid and
something to do with probably barn burning or something, right?
Yeah, fire horse, barn burners. Yeah. It's got to be something to do with fire. Rapid and rangy, Molinas, 21, his age, drops in set shots from the outside, drives through for layups, and can stay around the key and rebound and hook. He is an accomplished ball handler, with quick hands that make up for the defensive deficiencies. He possesses all the moxie demanded of a guy who embarks on the money player's torturous 77-game schedule. Students of New York basketball claim Molinas ranks with Cousy, Adolph Shays, and Dick McGuire as the slickest to come out of the big town in the last 10 years. I guess it's New York. There's no question about where Molinas comes from once you get the load of him in street clothes. The black-haired youth wears the flashy root or bop or what have we type of duds. Root or bop or what have we type. That's what dash have dash we dash type. That's how it says.
Huh.
This is weird.
I guess it's fancy or just a time. Yeah.
I think he's got like he's a peacock is what they're trying to say here. Because the next line is has taps on his shoes. Look at me. You can hear me coming.
Got some toe,
like
some toe caps.
Chris Moltisanti's guy in a screenplay in The Sopranos.
Right.
It's like ridiculous.
He's got some gold bolted to the front of his shoe.
Wow, tap shoes he's got. In the off-season, you see, he works as a bartender at his parents' Coney Island saloon. Yeah, that's what he does.
Okay.
Molinas wants to inform his Bronx concourse friends that Fort Wayne is a fine town. The Indiana city likes him fine, too. He averaged more than 13 points a game for the first weeks, gave every indication he'll score more. Jack Molinas qualifies as a pre-dental student, was accepted by the Harvard School of Business, but figured he couldn't beat basketball and bartending.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, 53... questions start to pop up about sudden lapses in play that he has here.
Oh, sometimes he slacks off a little?
Yeah, just out of nowhere here. It's very weird. I guess the Pistons and Celtics were playing, and early betting on Boston pushed the spread first to 3.5 points, then to 6 points in favor of Boston.
Oh,
which
super
a big
favored.
Jump like that says something's up. And that made bookies stop taking action on the game because they thought the fix was in, so they wanted to stop. So the enthusiasm here, they said the enthusiasm seemed misplaced here for Boston as Fort Wayne jumped out to a good lead. Molinas had 18 points. But at halftime, they said a stranger, quote unquote, attempted to enter the Fort Wayne locker room to talk to Molinas and was prevented. When he was prevented from doing so, he left a note for Jack that simply stated, "Joe sent me." That's apparently Joe Hacken, they think.
Yeah.
That's the basketball fixer there. In the second half of the game, Molinas suddenly made mistake after mistake. He scored only 2 additional points, and basically he got pulled from the game because he kept fucking up so bad.
Yeah.
So the Celtics ended up winning the game, a margin just large enough to cover the point spread.
Oh.
Because it was 6, they won by 7 eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So few people believe that the excuse, he said he got very little sleep after a night of partying and had just run out of gas at halftime.
Okay.
And nobody bought that, basically.
Why didn't that guy send like a note that says a friend of ours sent me or some shit like that? Why put a guy's name on it?
Well, Joe is pretty basic. I mean, Joe could be anybody,
I guess it's
for
pretty
Christ's
common.
sake.
Yeah.
Joe could be
Snoopy. Joe Cool.
Sounds like an alias. Yeah, it sounds like it's not the real guy, almost. Someone says their name's Joe, you're like, really?
Yeah.
For real?
Joe Dumars from 1987.
Yeah, that's who it is. It's Joe Dumars. Don't you know that? Don't you know anything? So, and after that, New York bookmakers refused to take any bets on any game involving Fort Wayne. So because they thought it was being fixed, and they didn't know where the fix was coming from, so they weren't accepting bets.
Wow.
So January 11th, 1954, he admits that he's been doing some betting. Jack does. He says he bet on Pistons games, but only to win.
Okay.
He pulled the Pete Rose here.
Right.
He's suspended indefinitely from the Fort Wayne Pistons after admitting he'd been betting on his team's games. He said, quote, "It's true that I bet on some of our games, less than a dozen, but I always bet on us to win. I've never done anything dishonest in all my life."
All your life?
All your life. That's right. Yeah, that's what they said. He said that his betting was a, quote, a peanut operation. He said, maybe I made a couple of dollars.
$100,000 in college.
Yeah, and he said he has no plans. He said they've suspended me immediately. I don't know what to do. He said he's going to stick around Fort Wayne for a while.
Yeah.
And the president of the NBA, Maurice Podoloff at the time, said that, quoted Molinas as saying he bet on games because, quote, he wanted a little extra change and didn't think it would amount to anything. That's what he told the commissioner.
Yeah.
The league head said that Molinas, a rookie, was paid $9,600 per season, and in addition, he had received a $500 bonus for signing, so he made $10,100.
Wow.
He also quoted Molinas as saying no one else on the team was involved in the betting. It was just him. And Molinas is quoted as saying he received approximately $400 for the total times he bet, which is, yeah, right.
Maybe he's lost so much that he's only made $400.
Yeah, I don't think he's in on the fix. I don't think he's losing a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure he's losing on other things.
Yeah,
because he's a gambler. They said Molinas has been under investigation since the middle of December, and when confronted with the evidence, admitted in a signed statement that he had, on numerous occasions, called a connection in New York to obtain odds and points on games in which he was to play. He further admitted that he had, on many of these occasions, placed bets on these games. Team officials said they didn't wish to give further details at this time. They did that. They did the old very silver maneuver of no details right now. Maybe this will blow over.
We got nothing yet. Yeah.
So they said he wasn't accused of shaving any points or anything, or attempting to throw away any games, only of betting.
Okay.
So they said that he was rejected from the armed service a month before because at this point they're measuring him at 6'6" and 1/4 inch. And the limit maximum height you could be at the time was 6'6".
6'6". How about that?
So he's a 1/4 inch over the limit, so they wouldn't accept him into the armed forces.
That's terrific. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. So I'd love to go. I just,
I just
too tall.
can't.
So
plane.
Yep. They said he was a candidate for the Rookie of the Year award. He was named to the Western Division All-Star team.
Wow.
He was doing fine, but nope. He's the first player to be suspended on an accusation of gambling on NBA games in the 8 seasons the league has operated.
First one.
2 Indianapolis players who were barred by the NBA in 51-52 were charged with shaving points while playing with the University of Kentucky, but not on NBA games. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they I guess they said a newspaper man gave the tip first. The Podoloff said that the first tip Molinas was betting on games came from Ike Gellis, who's a sports editor of the New York Post, who heard rumors to that effect.
Oh.
And then they informed the Fort Wayne club, and then they hired detectives from New York and Fort Wayne to investigate it, and all of that shit. So January 12th, 1954, this is when Stuffy says he denies he ever bet on any Columbia games, even though we know that's not true.
Right.
At all. He said, I have nothing else to hide, is what he said. It couldn't do any harm for me to talk.
Don't say that, dude.
Yep, and nothing else to hide. He said, I have nothing to hide, and I plan to go to New York in a day or so to straighten this thing out with the district attorney's office in the Bronx. I want to get it cleared that cleared up, as I never bet on a game while I played at Columbia, because now they're looking into it for as like a criminal action.
Yeah.
For point shaving at Columbia. He says his betting contact always was Stanley Rotensky. He said, I used to play basketball with him in the schoolyard. Just a friend of mine, not some
big bookie?
Not some big bookie organized crime guy, just some guy that I played ball with.
Just a guy that I shot around with. I played horse with.
I've known him since we was this big. It's my ma and his ma know each other. It's not a big deal.
Oh, boy.
They used to play bridge on Wednesdays. It's all right. Molinas said the New York youth who handled his bets, quote, is just an ordinary guy and not the center of any gambling interest, just some guy he hung out with. He said,
all right.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. He said, I called in all the bets to New York from my home here in Fort Wayne, and he placed them for me. I definitely bet on only games I thought we could win. I've never done anything dishonest in my life. Again.
Oh, my God.
Which, if you ever hear that, that's always a lie.
Yeah, I'm starting to hate when guys say things like, I have nothing to hide, because it turns out a lot of guys that say that have a lot to hide.
A lot to hide. That's why they're saying that. Otherwise, they just go, okay, yeah. I have nothing to hide as a way to try to convince you not to look because you have nothing to hide, so don't worry about it. It's a way to act casual while subtly trying to get someone not to do that here. So they said the harshness of the penalty imposed on Molinas would likely frighten other players who've been associated with gamblers. The public could be told that the problem was an unfortunate but isolated incident at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. To the press, he said, I don't think this will have any effect on professional basketball. It's simply an isolated case. That's what the president of the league said here.
Yeah.
Or whatever. He said, wow. They said isolated conduct. The word isolated comes up pretty much in every statement he makes. Isolated, only, just him.
One off.
Not a bad guy. Yeah, one off. Fucking never happen again.
Yeah.
Alien thing happened here. Super weird. So, all of this shit, though, they said that, now he's kind of hanging in limbo because he's a good player and they like to have him back, but they'd also like him to,
not be a dickhead?
Not be a gambler and gamble on the game. If you can't trust a guy not to shave points, it's kind of difficult.
Don't compromise what's our fucking livelihood.
No. So he scores 11.6 points and 7.1 rebounds a game that year in his rookie year. In only 32 games. He was playing 30 minutes a game, doing everything. And that is all he'll ever play in the NBA.
Is that right?
That's it. They Joe Jackson his ass.
Just shipped him off.
Shoeless Joe'd his ass. Yep.
We don't know you. Don't even talk about him.
That's it. So he was selected for the All-Star game, actually, which is hilarious. And then he's kicked out forever. He wouldn't play because by then he was kicked out.
Yeah, not part of the league.
Yep. He made a lot of money because the average salary was between $4,000 and $5,000 then, and he was making $9,600.
$10,000.
He's a top draft pick. It was reported from an article later on, well later, like 2002. Molinas was making about $50,000 a week from his gambling and fixing basketball games.
Holy shit!
Which is just 5 times his yearly salary per week. So
per week,
it's hard to tell a guy not to do that and have him listen.
Yeah.
He said, I didn't care about the money. I never did. Gambling was action. Winning was glory. Money was just a way of keeping score. He said it again at that point.
He's addicted.
He's addicted to it. That's the thing, the raindrop theory we talked about a million times.
He's got a sickness.
You could take all the sports away and they'll find those 2 bugs. Which one will fly off of there first?
Yeah.
People will bet on fucking anything. It's the sickness of it. So that's a lot of money to be turning down. You can't, when people say, these players make too much money. Well, if they didn't, all of your dumb bets on FanDuel or whatever the fuck everybody's doing, you wouldn't be doing that because you wouldn't know the game was on the up and up because you'd be worried those guys were taking money if they weren't making the kind of money they're making. They can't. No one wants to risk a $60 million contract.
Right. They'd have to pay so much.
Yeah, so much where it would raise every red flag and you couldn't lay it off as much.
Right.
No one's going to make $100 million gambling on something and pay players off. It's just not really feasible today. I guess you could do it with guys who make less money, but the problem is the big money guys are the guys who have control of the game.
They're the ones that are on the court the most, and they're on the court in the points of the game that at the end of the game matters.
You can't bribe a quarterback.
Right.
The average salary for a starting quarterback is like $29 million a year. Yeah. What the and they have every endorsement. What are you going to bribe them with?
I'd really love to bribe Russell Wilson to fucking leave the NFL.
To not play on the Broncos anymore.
Stop doing this to my team, you son of a bitch.
Listen, I'm a Giants fan. I don't even want to hear it.
Oh,
I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Damn it.
We've had Daniel Jones doing it for longer, so I don't want to hear it.
It's so hard to go from that to this. Fuck.
It's a mess. It's a real mess here.
God, I hate him so much.
So he at this somewhere around this time he gets married to Jeannie King is her name. Jeannie Mae King goes by Jean.
Okay,
and she'll end up being or Jenny. I'm sorry, Jenny, who goes by Jean.
Oh,
okay.
You sure doesn't go by Jen?
She might go by Jenny, and her name's Jean. I think that's what it is. So
there's
Jenny,
a J in there.
Jenny Mae sounds better than Jean May. So it's Jenny Mae Molinas here. She'll be at this point here. So he played in the Eastern Professional Basketball League at this point, which is later known as the CBA, the Continental, which every fuck up that we've ever talked about in the NBA played on.
The EPL.
He averages 27 points per game there in 157 games. So.
Wow.
He kills it there, but he just can't. The NBA won't take him back no matter what.
No. It's over. You've ruined it.
Not a question of whether he can play or not. That's been established. He can play. It just doesn't matter.
It's a question of our fucking livelihood.
Yep. So he just, like anybody who's, grew up around a bar and has been gambling for a long time and booted out of their main profession, he just goes and gets a law degree and becomes a lawyer at that point.
What?
Yeah, that's what he did.
He left basketball and got a law degree.
He's got a law degree. Throw that together.
Okay.
He's a Columbia grad, so
I guess he's got that school done. All you got to do is get into law school.
He went to law school and became a pretty successful lawyer, as a matter of fact.
Unbelievable.
But at this point, once he becomes a lawyer, he starts seeking money from the NBA because he's like, hey, you kicked me out and never let me back in.
Yeah.
And there's big money in that because Connie Hawkins, there was a gambling thing with Connie Hawkins where they still don't think Connie Hawkins did anything, but he got lumped in with other people who did do shit. And he was not allowed to come into the NBA for years.
Yeah,
he went to the ABA, and he was a great player. Unbelievable. When the NBA finally let him in the early 70s, he got a huge contract from Phoenix and also sued the shit out of the NBA and made a fuckload of money. They had to pay him ton of money, millions of dollars.
Good
it was
for him.
like 8 years of lost revenue and defamation of this, and it was like all of these things here. He is seeking, in 1961, Molinas is seeking $3 million from the NBA.
Oh, my God.
Which is a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So he
basically wants to own the fucking the Bullets.
Yeah, you could buy a team easy for that kind of money. Christ, back then, 61? Fuck yeah, you could buy 3 probably. Shit, it says here in this, what is this? The Lacrosse Tribune, this paper is. It says the unique case of Jack Molinas versus the NBA, our National Basketball Association, came up in federal court today with the NBA's reserve clause at stake. That's the other thing. All the sports had the reserve clause that baseball got rid of in the 70s. The case is a $3 million antitrust action brought by Molinas against the NBA. So they said 6 years ago he was barred for betting on his games. He says, I'm ready for the trial. I think I have a very good chance of winning. So I guess he pleaded in his defense for Columbia that he only bet on his team, and he admitted he won about $400 at Columbia, he said. Meanwhile, he was making thousands. He said, I only won about $400, and I paid taxes on that.
Oh.
Did you now?
He reported it.
Wow. Now he's a lawyer, and he wants the NBA ban lifted, and is asking for $3 million in damage. He charged NBA President Maurice Podoloff and the 8 teams in the league, down to 8 now, with acting in restraint of trade, a violation of the antitrust law.
Yeah.
He claims that because of the reserve clause, he's prohibited from dealing with any other team than the Pistons, and that he's being boycotted and blacklisted in the NBA. Podoloff said, we haven't denied him a living in any other league. Well, any other league doesn't make any money, though. Yeah.
Right. The only one that makes money is the one you own.
The last time he played in the Eastern League, he led the league with 37.4 points a game.
Jesus.
Fucking destroying shit. So they said, should Molinas win, the NBA reserve clause would be meaningless. Any attempt to settle with him out of court, officials feel, would only encourage other players who've been barred to follow suit. We can show, Jack Weinberg, his attorney, Molinas, has said, we can show tremendous damages here. Lots of basketball players are waiting on this trial.
You bet.
So the Jack Molinas' suit, January 12th, 1961, his suit is dismissed.
Oh?
Yep, he's all dismissed. So
he gets nothing.
He gets ugats. Yeah, he got nothing out of that. Yep, That's all there is. So that's sad for him, but there is something to cheer him up on the page if he looks a little further down. Jimmie, the sales!
Oh boy, what is on sale?
If you happen to be around in 1961, on January 12th in Corpus Christi, because this is from the Corpus Christi Caller-Times, which I'm sure has been defunct for 40 years, but
it's probably still in existence.
Maybe.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
This is for a calculator, like a big on-the-desk calculator where a receipt comes out of it. It looks like a cash register. It's that big. And it says, everyone in your office can calculate with ease. And it's got to calculate with ease with the new improved Victor automatic printing calculator. Divide, multiply, subtract, or add.
Do all of it.
Now, 3 of the 4, but I don't expect it to divide. If you're dividing, that's a whole separate machine, I would think. You got a divider for that.
Does long division, James.
There's an adding machine, then a dividing machine. You can't expect them both to do the same work. With the magic of the with the touch of the magic motor bar. Exclusive automatic constant division and multiplication. Exclusive automatic constant division and multiplication. Constant. It won't tire out. total transfer feature, exclusive Simpla key, clear, concise record tape, modern two-tone brown metal case. Very modern, two-tone brown. The price for the base model,
yeah,
1961. What do you think?
In 1961, $850.
No, $435.
Jesus Christ.
Which in 2023 is $4,477.87 for a fucking calculator. That is a feature that you have to look hard for on your phone when you need it. It's so buried in shit that you don't even... It's in a utilities folder where you're like, no, that's the level. I don't want that. There's the calculator. Okay.
For an app on your phone that you've never used.
Yep. That is awesome.
$4,000.
Oh, $4,000. Almost $4,500. So
yeah.
February 22nd, 1961, according to this paper, he's been involved in a, quote, rumpus.
Oh.
Yeah. This is, I don't know.
What's the rumpus?
Yeah, Dick Gaines. Everybody's named Dick back then. Dick Gaines. Got some gains in my dick. These pills are working. Was fined $50 and suspended 3 games recently for attacking Hazleton's Jack Molinas, the top scorer. This is in the league. He's still playing in the Eastern League 10 years later. Last night, Jack was starting to pump in the points with regularity. Gaines got on his high horse and started a rumpus with Molinas, and Wally Choice jumped on top of the Hazleton player when he was on the floor.
Dick Gaines started a rumpus? Is that right?
Dick Gaines got all up in that rumpus, Jimmy. Dick Gaines climbed up in that rumpus and tore that rumpus's ass up.
Dick Gaines. His name is Boner.
Yeah, Dick Gaines. It's awesome. Disciplined by the Hawks here on March 18th, 1961. They led by 9 points, but wound up losing this game to Scranton. Jesus Christ.
Scranton, PA had a basketball team?
Yeah, Eastern League here. Okay. They said that was after one game. Molinas didn't play with the Hawks last night because of a disciplinary move by the club owners.
Oh.
Said he's suspended. No one said why. Turns out he was suspended for gambling.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he's gambling. And then during the 1960-61 season, NCAA season anyway, college season, a huge major gambling scandal breaks out.
Uh-oh.
It involves 37 arrests of students from 22 different colleges. This is a big deal here. Molinas is a known associate here. This is when he's implicated in the whole CCNY 1951 gambling scandal that they made the documentaries about and all that shit.
Yeah.
This is when it comes out that he was involved in that.
How far after?
This is 10 years later, 1961. Wow. His partners in the bookmaking scheme were not only Joe Hacken, but Genevieve's fucking crime family future boss, Vincent the Chin Chigante, the one who walked around New York City in the bathrobe trying to act crazy, but he was really banging like 4 broads around the city.
Still had it all together?
Yeah. That guy, the Chin, back then when he was he was an enforcer back then. He wasn't even a boss. He was like a captain. He was a low-level guy.
Fucking 20s, yeah.
Yeah. So included in this are Doug Moe of UNC, Tony Jackson from St. John's, Roger Brown, who ended up in the he was part of the Connie Hawkins mess. He ended up, I believe, in the ABA later on, and a bunch of other students as well. They said that the great tragedy of the Molinas era was the Connie Hawkins, who is regarded as the 60s equivalent of Dr. J, as they say in this article, and I guess so. Here, Hawkins was a star at Brooklyn's Boy High when he met Jack Molinas. In the summer before he entered the University of Iowa, Hawkins was often in Molinas' Buick, driving him around. Okay. Roger Brown, another local hoop star, was doing the driving with a girl in front and another in the back with Hawkins, it says here. Hawkins and Brown received what they say, quote, favors from Molinas in their freshman seasons.
Yeah, what was her name?
Really. During the Christmas holidays of 61, Connie Hawkins was broke, and he said he borrowed $250 from Molinas with the promise to repay, but neither enlisted others to throw games or promised to do so himself. So, the principals, by the way, Molinas and Joe Hacken, would repeatedly insist that Hawkins had no participation or knowledge of any fixing games. But his association with Molinas was the reason why, during this scandal, when it broke,
Wow.
Anybody who was lumped in with gamblers, they just booted out of college, out of everything. And that was Connie Hawkins included, even though
that poor guy.
Nobody said he did anything. There isn't even an accusation against him other than he hung out with Molinas.
He was at my school every year for give back to the kids thing.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
I feel so bad for him. What a sweetheart of a man he was. He was so nice to us all the time. Big fucking hands on that guy.
He's fucking huge. He's a great player.
Yeah. Well, I always make fun of you for your giant hands, but they were like 4 of your hands.
He's a
huge,
insane, great rebounder. He's incredible. So he ended up in the ABA, and also Roger Brown ended up in the ABA.
Wow.
And it was a mess. The whole scandal actually broke out of an attempted and successful college football, and basically pro football was what they were looking at here. And so I guess one guy who was a boyhood friend of Molinas tried to bribe a University of Florida fullback who informed his coach about it.
Hey, coach, can I take this money?
Hey, is this okay? Is this cool or what?
What an idiot.
Yeah.
No, it's not cool. Just shut the fuck up and take the money.
That's what they tell them to do, though. If anybody ever approaches you, got to approach a team official immediately. As soon as they walk away from you, you approach a team official. Otherwise, you're dirty. You didn't tell anybody about it. So that's what they say. A few days later, Dave Budden, a former Brooklyn College player working for Molinas, tried to bribe a University of Oregon halfback to throw a game against the University of Michigan. He's just sending people out trying to do that. A detective in District Attorney Hogan's office tipped off Hacken, who tried to instruct, because it's all crooked back then, tried to instruct Wagman and Joe Green, a neighborhood pal of Molinas in the Bronx, to call the players and tell them to be calm. All of the players in the basketball fixes were contacted. Connie Hawkins was not contacted, by the way. But in March of '61, Hacken and Wagman were arrested, and most of the athletes have been alerted, but all of them confessed. And but Hacken didn't talk. Molinas, though, here is arrested on May 18th, 1962.
Okay.
Charged with, quote, heading a fix ring.
Oh.
Yep. The arrest of him is, I guess, the charges that he headed a ring that corrupted college basketball or college games, including some played by North Carolina State College and University of South Carolina. 2 of the games thrown were South Carolina Wake Forest contests. The conspiracy involves 22 players at 12 colleges in an attempt to fix 25 contests.
Okay.
That's just what they have proof of, what they can charge with here. Molinas, an attorney, played professionally for a time, but then was barred by the NBA. He pleaded innocent in general sessions and was released on bail. So that's what they're talking about. He's charged with, there's another guy here charged with subornation of perjury in connection with Reed's testimony. 3 were charged in bribery, payments of $1,000 to William Dennis Reed of New York, who played with Bowling Green, and a couple other people. So Hogan said Molinas paid Reed to dump 3 games, 2 in December 59 and one in December 60. No charge was placed against Reed. I guess he's going to testify here. Wow, that's fucking wild. Bowling Green, the coach, commented that the $3,000 was money very poorly spent. They said, because the coach said he, meaning the player, was never in a position to affect the team that much. The coach was like, he didn't have that control.
You paid the wrong guy.
Yeah, he certainly never could be considered a star and played very little after his sophomore year. Ouch. This coach is like, and he sucks.
Man.
He's a crook and he sucks. Frankly, I don't think he could hurt the team that much. Wow. Concerning the subornation count, Hogan said Molinas told Reed to deny to a grand jury that he knew certain of the co-conspirators or that he ever accepted any bribe payments from Molinas or any co-conspirator. So shut the fuck up is what they said here. Hogan names 3 other co-conspirators, which are Frank Cardone, which is it's a name in my family. That's pretty funny. Alias Frank Cardemo, Morris Heilson, a.k.a. Mo Hasten, both described as Pittsburgh gamblers. David Goldberg, alias Dave Goldberg. That's not really much of an alias.
It's just what the neighbors call you.
Steve Lycos, there's St. Louis gamblers. Norman Rosenthal, a.k.a. Lefty Rosenthal. You know that name?
Yeah, that's the guy from Donnie Brasco.
Oh, no, it's not. Alleged
Lefty?
Chicago gambler.
Uh-huh.
Alleged Chicago Rosenthal. Think about that. Gambler from Chicago who moved out to Vegas
Oh, is that right?
And was played by Robert De Niro in Casino.
Yeah.
That's where this came from. Remember in the beginning when they were talking about the scandals of the blah, blah, blah? This is all part of it. This is all mixed together. And Jack Molinas he's the point guy for all this because he's the only ex-athlete involved in all this. So he's the guy. Pretty fucking interesting, right? That is fucking wild. All of these men, Hogan said, aided in the financing of dumping deals. Dumping means throwing games. The five together with Paul Walker, we're throwing him in here too, a New York truckman, it's close.
Well, Carmen,
whatever, are under indictment in North Carolina, charged with bribing basketball players as a result of information furnished to our office, they said. Oh, wow. Also, Anthony D. Charante, alias Tony Dici, alias Tony D. He's got two aliases. That's a good mobster there.
Oh, that's a frightening man.
Described as a former Chicago convict. Also, Ralph Gigante, which is Vincent's brother there, a brother of Vincent the Chin Gigante, once acquitted of the shooting and wounding of Frank Costello. Yes, he was acquitted. Frank Costello, who got shot in the barber shop there. But they missed him. He had there's a picture of him with a
towel
big
on his ear.
Towel on his ear. That was Gigante was involved in that.
Wow.
Apparently. So he's now serving 7 years on a narcotics charge. Gigante at this point.
Boy, do they love getting you when you're in the barber chair. Fuck, that sucks.
You're
man.
the most.
You're
vulnerable.
so vulnerable. Yeah.
And barbers stay out of everything. They see him like, oh, shut the fuck up and walk away. I mean, that's what they do.
I mean, you're basically all tied up and like you don't want to move because you got suds all over you. It's the least you move.
Back then, out of anybody who wasn't like hardcore in the mob, barbers knew more than anybody. Barbers and bartenders heard every fuck because they talk in front of their barbers. They just my grandfather was a fucking barber. I'm sure they got people yip yapped in front of him all the time.
And when they're drinking, fuck, man, that's
which
the
was
worst.
Always so.
Yeah, just sitting there blabbing, idiots.
Yeah. So they know a lot. So Molinas has been careful not to mention certain fixes. It was Hacken, Green, and Wagman who made the fixes, with one exception. Molinas directly bribed the Bowling Green player Billy Reed. Okay. So 1962, May, Jack Molinas discussed integrity before indictment of cage fixing. Yeah. Okay. The day before nationwide college basketball scandal first was disclosed by the New York District Attorney's Office, Molinas traveled to Washington, D.C. to keep a public speaking date on basketball. Wow. There could be no doubt that he was an authority on the subject. He's, obviously a great player.
Yeah, he played. Yeah.
So they said the speech was about the integrity of basketball.
Yeah.
They said if this wasn't ironic enough, then Jack's funny bone must have been tickled when he boarded his Washington flight and recognized that a fellow passenger was a detective from Hogan's office. When Molinas reached the function at which he was to speak, he noted the same detective was in the audience.
Oh, shit.
Clearly, Molinas wasn't a boring speaker. The detective sat through Molinas' complete talk. As Jack told the story sometime later, his sense of humor bubbled over. When the detective got me back to the office, said Molinas, they all must have had a good laugh. After his speech, yeah. Now that he's been indicted on 3 counts of bribery, 1 of conspiracy, and 1 of subornation of perjury, Jesus Christ here. He pleaded not guilty to these charges. His attorney, who said if he's found guilty, he's an attorney, if he's found guilty, he can be disbarred as well.
Oh, shit.
So there's that. He said, I'm fighting for nothing. That's his attorney said, quote, I'm fighting for nothing. Jack, that jerk, he's fighting for his life. That's his attorney that said that. Yeah. They said, quote, it's been a strange life, a near genius who admittedly was a big bettor and whose name one way or another gets mentioned with so many of the 9 fixers guilty in the scandal that involved 67 games, 49 players, 25 colleges, and 18 states. It grows as they catch more and more people tell. It was huge. It was way bigger than that. So they said, just as Molinas recognized the detective on the plane, he has known for more than a year and a half that the police have been tailing him and that his telephone may have been tapped in the extended investigation of the fixing. Holy shit. So they just did a full court press on his ass. They talk about at one point, I guess they had talked about something. They said only a few weeks after the scandal broke, Molinas and this reporter spent several hours in a mid-Manhattan hotel discussing the police's knowledge of his movement. We talked about the many places police might have tied him into the scandal, the players with whom he allegedly was friendly or over-friendly, his association with tons of gangsters and players that they talk about. He knew he was the Mr. X about whom I wrote a year ago, the so-called mastermind of what the DA termed the Molinas ring. He's got his own ring.
That's not good.
Wow. But so many of the gambling gentry had said you could chill a bottle of beer with his blood. He's cool.
Oh, ice cold.
Cool as a cucumber. In the months which have passed since our original discussion, Molinas has been in phone contact with me every time a new phase of the scandal has broken. Each time he would say, quote, "They got nothing on me." They got nothing.
Sounds like they got a lot.
Yeah. Once Jack said that his only fear was the fear of being embarrassed because he is an attorney. He said he'd heard his name being bandied about town in the circles that would know about gambling and fixes and police investigations, but he was concerned only that the bookies with whom he had bet would probably be questioned and would reveal him as an inveterate bettor. He's like, listen, I like to bet on games. That's not, doesn't make me a bad guy.
I'm a degenerate. I'm not a fucking
degenerate gambler. Yeah.
Right.
So what? You like to take a drink? I like to do this. Leave me alone.
There you go. Yeah.
That's what he said. He said he was not a big bettor, but bragged about how much he had won because he was in the peculiar position of still being a basketball player, able to compete with the best on their own level, knew likely fixers, and was opportunistic enough to make the most of the information that came to him. Wow. Molinas said, quote, "He," meaning the DA, "he won't bring me in for questioning even if he knows what I know. I've done nothing to call for an indictment, and he knows it. Sure, he can get me on association. He can get me on implication if he wants to and embarrass me, but I'm in the... It's the implication. It's the implication. But I'm in the clear so far as an indictment or booking is concerned. If I'm arrested, I might even be able to sue for false arrest."
Oh?
His attorney said, my client was shocked. Shocked. Like in a state of shock, his attorney said. He didn't think it would ever happen to him. Cold-blooded to the end. Yeah. Then Hacken they talked to, and Hacken said, cold-blooded nothing. He's scared. He was always scared. He's always scared stiff.
Okay.
Is he scared? Is he cold? Molinas.
Yeah.
He said he's going to flip, and he's scared, and they're worried about it, and that's why he's talking like that. A couple of years ago, there was a story around the fact that he was marked for death, Jack was.
What?
Big-time gamblers he had a falling out with. As the rumor went, Jack had a, quote, mortal lock on one game. He was said to make both sides of a game, but bet the side he wanted without letting some of his backers in on the news. You can't do that.
No.
Yeah, he said, he was supposed to bet it one way, but he hedged them and tried to make a little
tried to make
money.
Both sides happy. Yeah.
Well, no, he tried to make a little extra
make
for
both
himself.
Sides money
math.
For himself, right.
And yeah, that's how it was.
Okay.
So apparently they were a little bit pissed off about that, which makes fucking
He's
sense.
manipulating their money, sure.
Said originally, according to the rumor, the plan was to murder him, but the strong arms thought better of it and just decided to teach him a lesson and broke his hand.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Then he said, on May 1st, I heard another version. It was simply that Jack had touted certain hard parties onto what he told them was a certain winner, but the game didn't come out the way he said it would. So he told them, I got a hot tip, and it didn't work. Right. They bet $10,000 for themselves, something for Molinas, but when it backfired, they had him beat up. The reporter says, Molinas and I discussed the first version of the story some time back. At first, he laughed off the report. Eventually, he conceded that 2 years ago he did suffer a broken little finger on his left hand. Interesting. Weird. He said that he'd made a bet, a large one on a game. He won the bet and went to collect his winnings. He was paid the money and then was made the victim of what he called a setup. At first, reluctant to discuss the episode, he finally said that he was set upon and heisted. He said, quote, I thought I could get away from them with my money, but one of them hit me with something, and the pinky was fractured. Saying he just got mugged here, that's all. When the DA broke the extent of the indictment against Molinas, it was more than a little finger being broken. He said, besides being charged in the bribery count with 3 $1,000 payments to Reed to dump games, subordination of perjury, and all that kind of shit, Now we're up to 11 co-conspirators, 72 overt acts relating to meetings of co-conspirators and players. And, there's more players involved now and all sorts of colleges.
This is when RICO shit comes around.
This is a huge deal here. Yeah. So they said, here's the Albuquerque Journal, November 28th, 1962.
That fucking brag.
Oh, we all know that one. Ex-College of the Pacific star testifies in Molinas bribe case here. So a former star testified of the meeting, a fixer named Frank, who told him he'd be rolling in money. This is a 24-year-old guy now, Gary Kaufman, who worked at played for the University of Pacific. And he took the stand. He testified that Molinas took him and a teammate to dinner with a guy named Frank, whom he did not further identify, in San Francisco. He said Frank gave him $200 and remarked, "You boys will be rolling in money. Nobody ever gets caught."
And I never want to talk about that man ever again. He was very scary.
Very scary. Frank then told Kaufman and Wright from that point on they would do all their dealings through Molinas. When Kaufman went to the district attorney, he had a recording device installed in the basement of his home. It recorded a conversation he had with Molinas in which the latter allegedly said that the higher-ups in the fixes never are implicated. Like, you shut the fuck up. Molinas said, you notice nobody's implicated them yet. They talk about it, and most of the players know about them, but the people that know them, that dealt with them, they wouldn't implicate these guys.
No.
Yeah, it continued. Kaufman said, "You mean the higher-ups?" And he said, quote, "They'll get shot. They'll get killed. I'm not kidding." Yeah.
Yeah.
Kaufman said, "They're really that type of guys. Those guys would kill him?" And Molinas said, "That's right." Yeah, no shit.
Stop talking about it. Jesus Christ.
He said, "Yeah, you know what crew this was. I'll tell you now. I'll tell you because if you repeat it, it's your..." And Kaufman said, "It's the old Capone mob from Chicago." And then Kaufman asked Molinas about Frank. He said, "You mean the guy I met is the type of guy that could kill me?" And Molinas said, "That's right. He has a manslaughter rap against him from what I understand. And I'm telling you to forget about them. Even if you had mentioned that you'd met someone else, don't ever identify them." Interesting. So, yeah. He said that Molinas had lost $40,000 to $60,000 on one game, which was played here, and that was, I guess, what got Molinas in trouble, possibly, with the mob.
Sure.
December 1st, 1962. A guy who got a briber says that Molinas was not involved at all.
Oh?
Yeah, no, this is not even a little bit. Joseph Panzer testified Molinas attended at least one conference he had with Wagman in city prison in 1961 when Molinas was representing Wagman, who had admitted bribing college basketball players. Panzer testified at Molinas' trial and said that Wagman told him the district attorney's office is trying to get Molinas into this college basketball scandal picture. So he said he asked Wagman, "Are you sure Molinas had nothing to do with this?" And he said, "I'm positive about it." So, obviously it's all good.
Definitely not him. Yeah.
Definitely not him. Now, let's say this is a lot. Let's say you get done with your trial. It's been a long day.
Oh, my God.
It's been a long day in court. A lot of mob guys to think about, players, places.
My stomach hurts.
Yeah, I think it's time to settle down. Let's just go see a movie. What do you say? Let's see if we can sit and relax. Well, apparently,
jujubes.
Yeah, and tonight, what's playing in 1962, if you happen to be around, is for the first time, it says, ever,
classics.
This movie's playing, The Private Life of ... Hitler.
What?
Okay.
What?
It gets funnier, okay?
Oh, my God.
On this ad is a picture of Hitler smacking a woman. He has smacked her. He's done. She's like, oh, like her face is like she's just been smacked. And he's got this look like, you fucking... And it says, in quotes coming out of his mouth, "I can do what I want with you."
He's a rapist.
Yeah. Hitler's like, how can we make Hitler worse? It's hard. I don't know. Make him a rapist, too. Fuck it, right?
Make him rape the undeserved. Let's do it.
Yeah, not make him like an asexual weirdo. Just a fucking, like in reality, make him a rapist. I can do what I want with you. Hitler, full of sexual energy. It's just
sex tension.
That
98 minutes of it.
Fucking amazing. For the first time, and I think it's an adult picture.
Really?
I think it's like, adult entertainment, it says.
Like a porno.
Yeah, I think it's like the 1962 version of a porno.
Jesus.
Back then. So, yeah, that's what you get.
Wild.
You want to go see Hitler raping chicks? Is that who you
Arrest
get off
every
on?
person that gets in that buys
Who
a
gets
ticket.
off on that? Not only they want to see rape, they want to see Hitler doing it. Yeah, that's better.
Arrest
What the
those
fuck?
people.
All of them. Every single one of them. Charges. Fucking charges.
Holy fuck.
So, let's see. Connie Hawkins, who was wrongfully put into this whole thing here, Hacken denied telling Budden that Hawkins had influenced the outcome of games. He went to great lengths to clear Hawkins' name from jail in 1965. Hacken sent a note to a New York Post writer that Hawkins was innocent. In 1969, from another New York State prison, he signed an affidavit for Hawkins' lawyers stating that he knew no conspiracies connecting Hawkins to fix games.
Wow.
He said that Hawkins suffered disproportionately for taking Molinas' $250 and not doing anything illegal. It took his lawyers 6 years to get him to the ABA.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. They said, quote, Connie was totally uneducated in high school. It was his lawyer. It wasn't until last year that a teacher took enough interest in him to help him. The only thing in the world he knew was basketball. He used to go to the playgrounds where he met Jack Molinas. Molinas at the time was a lawyer and also coach of the Eastern League, a coach of a team in the Eastern League. Connie to this day said he did not know that Molinas had played in the NBA. This was one of the most difficult things I had to believe. Molinas was one of the few affluent white people Connie had ever met, he said. On a number of occasions, Molinas told him, anything I can do for you, let me know. I like to help young ball players. He ate with Molinas on one or two occasions. One day, Molinas invited him and Roger Brown and talked to Hacken there, or Hacken. Hacken started talking about basketball, about players Connie knew. Would you introduce me to them, Hacken asked. Sure, Connie told him. Connie was being recruited at the time. Hundreds of recruiters had asked him the same questions. He always said sure, but in fact never introduced any players. Just if somebody older asked you something, you go, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you want.
Connie remembers that before leaving the office, he and Brown received $10 each for expenses to go to Long Island that night for a tournament. That's what they gave.
So they were given $10, and that's their fucking that ruined their career over it.
That's pretty much
and that and $250.
Well, they said in the fall, Connie entered Iowa. He had a job there, and before coming home for Christmas, his employer gave him money for tuition for the next semester because Connie's grades wouldn't permit him to keep his scholarship. So he had tuition money. Quote, Connie blew $200 at home, either playing cards or giving it to his friends. He went to his brother to borrow money. His brother didn't have it. Connie went to the holiday festival at Madison Square Garden and went out to get a hot dog between games. He ran into Molinas, who took him to a hamburger joint a few miles away. Later, Hacken came in and asked Connie to call another ball player on the phone. Connie did, but nobody was home. Molinas told Connie, I'm not going back to the game. Here's $5. Take a cab back. Connie later called Molinas and asked to borrow $200 and said, Molinas said, you understand this is a loan, right? And a month later, Connie's brother gave him the money, and Molinas paid it back to Molinas. So that's how it went. That's the whole crux of Connie Hawkins' gambling scandal. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is kind of ridiculous here.
Ruined his whole life over it.
Yeah. Other players that were blemished here were St. John star Tony Jackson, who failed to report a bribe offer. That's a charge. If you fail to report the bribe offer, they kick you out, which he considered a joke. He didn't think the guy was serious. And North Carolina star Doug Moe, who also played in the ABA, who received $75 from Wagman to fly to a meeting in New Jersey arranged by Moe's friend Lou Brown. Moe had turned down the offer to throw games. But he said, maybe that guy wants it. I don't know. St. Joseph's University was stripped of its third-place finish in the 61 NCAA tournament. Wow. Paul Tagliabue, remember him?
What? Yeah.
NFL commissioner for a long time. Unknowingly played in a fixed game and as a result became ardently anti-gambling as the NFL's future commissioner, which now has 45 gambling commercials every fucking time there's a goddamn punt. It's 45 different fucking ways to tell you to gamble on the fucking game. It's hilarious.
Unbelievable.
It was several years before Jackson and Moe, who were never involved in fixed conspiracies, could reach the ABA. They were lumped into that as well. It was a lot. January 9th, 1963, Jesus here, Jack is convicted in his basketball fix.
Really?
He faces jail sentence of up to 35 years.
Holy shit.
Sorry, 36 years.
For gambling
Because it's a bunch of conspiracy shit.
Yeah.
Found guilty of 5 charges, unable to post bail, and he's stuck in jail.
Unbelievable.
Attorneys say they planned an appeal for him after this, and he'll appeal a lot. He's facing a prison sentence of 36 years and fines totaling $35,500. It was a shitload of money back then. A jury of 8 men and 4 women debated for more than 8 hours Tuesday night before finding him guilty on 3 charges of bribing a college basketball player, 1 count of conspiring to bribe players in about 25 games, and 1 count of attempting to get a college player to commit perjury. So all charges, pretty much. Judge Joseph A. Serafit set February 11th for sentencing and increased Molinas' bail from $5,000 to $25,000. He couldn't afford the 5.
Wants to keep him in.
He's unable to post increased bail and was sent to jail. So he faces 10 years and $10,000 on each of the bribery charges, 1 year and $500 on the conspiracy charge, and 5 years and $5,000 on the perjury charge. Jesus Christ, that's a lot. He said, quote, "First I went to preliminary detention at Sing Sing," is what he said.
Boy.
The first day I was there, a little Puerto Rican guy came up to me, and he was sky high on something. He said, "Hey, you too big, man. You too big." And then he swung at me. Too buku. Too buku. He went, "No love you long time."
Yeah.
He said, and then he swung at me. Both of us landed in solitary.
Wow.
We got in a fight right away here.
Day 1.
Yep. He said, in solitary, he said, quote, "There's nothing but 4 bare walls, a can and a blanket that they throw in at night and take away in the morning. There are no windows. You love that blanket because it's your mattress and your pillow too, and because it's the only thing you have left that they can take away from you, you survive by taking out your mind and playing with it." Jesus, taking out your mind and playing with it? Yeah. Released from solitary, he quickly became the leading bookmaker in Sing Sing.
Is that right?
Yep. He said, "They had a book when I got there. He was booking baseball bets. The only way you could get the scores was to listen to your radio at 11:30 at night when you were back in your cell. Wives and girlfriends would come up for visits and the prisoners to visit the prisoners, and there were certain gifts you were allowed to give them. One thing was a pigeon, which the prisoners were allowed to raise. So I got with one guy who had raised a homing pigeon and laid an idea on him. The next time his wife came up, he told her about the idea and gave her the pigeon. She went back to New York City and listened to the Mets game on the radio the next day and attached the score to the pigeon and let it loose. It got back to my friend in plenty of time. By 11:30, I had cleaned the book out of every cigarette I had.
What?
Or every cigarette he had. So, yeah, he
beat him by homing pigeon.
He knew the scores first. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So he could bet before anybody else would bet because they didn't know the scores.
Yeah.
They didn't think anybody can get it. So 6 months after his transfer to Attica.
Oh, boy. He stayed in the worst ones.
Oh, yeah, he got bad ones. I mean, there wasn't a ton of them. There was Dannemora.
Right.
There was a bunch back then, but not like there's way more prisons now.
Sing Sing and Attica are like 2 of the worst ever, though.
Well, they're just far away from each other, too. Sing Sing is down by the city. It's in Ossining, so it's...
Yeah, but they're storied for being holy pieces of shit. Yeah.
Shitty. But I mean, like, at least in Sing Sing, if you're from New York City, people can visit you. If you're in Attica, that is fucking hours away.
Out in the sticks.
Yeah, no one can really come see you there. When he got there, his bookmaking operations came to an end. He said, an officer of the New York penal system found out that I have a very good reputation as a financial advisor, aside from sports and gambling. All of a sudden, I'm transferred back to the Tombs, which is the shit old jails in Manhattan there.
Yeah.
The Tombs is located in New York City, a short limousine drive to the financial district. As a prisoner of the Tombs, he was released from jail twice a week and picked up by limousine, he claims, and transported to Wall Street, there to handle his benefactor's interests on the stock exchange.
Get the fuck out of here.
He said, I don't doubt this back then, though. I really don't.
They sent him to Wall Street to make money for these people?
To make money for the guy, for the warden or whatever, yeah. Wow. He said, I was handling $2.5 million in funds, and I was doing it for a very high official of the criminal justice system. He did very nicely, and I became a very rich man by Tombs standards. By those standards, I was the equivalent of a millionaire. Only it was in cigarettes, which are the currency there.
Is he the guy from fucking Shawshank?
It's dude. I think
is
lot
he
of
the
things.
Inspiration for it?
I think there's a lot of things that he is at his story because he's like the center. He's this
Of
where
so many
spokes
stories.
come
Yeah.
off of him. It's
Yeah.
wild. He said there were other benefits when the man who had the limousine, sent was making money and happy. Sometimes I would pick up a date the next afternoon in a chauffeur-driven limousine. So they put a girl in there for him too. That's fucking hilarious.
He's like the Forrest Gump of sports gambling and
in the middle of
fucking
everything.
Wall Street gambling and all this fucking
everything
financial crimes. He's the Forrest Gump of financial crimes.
Mafia shit, stuff that's been in tons of different movies.
Yeah.
February 12th, 1963. Molinas is sentenced here for his, he's accused of being the master fixer, the judge says. And he is sentenced to, here we go. Well, first the judge called him a completely amoral person.
Yeah.
Which is not what you want to hear. He said
the
that.
warden gave me blowjobs, guys.
Yeah, listen, guys. He's called the master fixer. He said, quote, Molinas was the prime mover of the conspiracy, the person most responsible, the judge said. Okay. That's not good. He says, you, sir, may fuck off 10 to 15 years in prison.
That's a long time.
That's a fucking long time in prison. That really is.
For gambling.
For gambling. 7.5 to 8 years for hacking here, 3 to 5 years for Aaron Wagman, and 2.5 years for Philip LaCourte. So there you go. Joseph Green also pleaded guilty. Okay, and he was postponed. The request of this. He's got a psychiatric problem here. This other guy. Okay,
yeah.
not Jack. April 11th, 1963. He's out of jail for review of conviction. He appeals the sentence and conviction, and they actually let him out on bail pending the appeal.
That was nice.
Awfully fucking kind of them there. Yeah, he's released in $35,000 bail on a certificate of reasonable doubt that was issued. Okay. But his freedom when he was met at the gate by Wyoming County authorities who detained him on a warrant from North Carolina.
God damn it.
The latest warrant is issued by the Sheriff's Department in Raleigh, charges him with fraudulently attempting to fix an athletic contest between North Carolina State and Wake Forest. He was freed again, this time in $5,000 bail, and he's pending a hearing there. So he's also now got to go back to jail for a while here. He's settling in. May 3rd, 1963, headline, Jack Molinas, number 18896.
Yeah.
He said that the thought that stayed with Jack Molinas was what comes next. The jail doors of the Attica State Prison had shut behind him, and suddenly the whole thing had become too real. He was just an inmate, just as Willie Sutton, who was also in cell block A. You get that cold, sobering feeling as though you'd been drenched with ice water. It slows you up. It makes you think. I looked through the bars and said to myself, what am I doing here?
I don't belong here.
What am I doing here? He said, at the age of 31, I'm completely settling down. Well, you have no choice. You're in prison.
Yeah, where are you going to go?
He said, I've come a complete cycle, student, professional, athlete, lawyer, and now I hope I can become a businessman. They say 3 strikes are out, and I've had 2 as an athlete and lawyer. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Wow. They said anybody sitting with Molinas, as I did at lunch, would have seen nothing but an unusually tall man, sallow-faced and neatly dressed, who naturally enough would not discuss the charges under which he was convicted as a felon.
Yeah, lawyer fucked me.
That's normal. He said, I'm trying to live a normal life. I'm helping to prepare my case. I'm setting up an organization to go into business, a steam cleaning machine, which will clean, press, and deodorize up to a dozen garments in 10 minutes for 50 cents. He's selling us a steam cleaner now. The fuck is going on here? Yeah. Well, okay. Let me tell you about Martinizing. Like, what the fuck is... About the only thing I can do is get married now with this thing hanging over my... The only thing I can't do is get married now with this thing hanging over my head. My girl wants to get married. She stood by me. I want to, but I guess I can't till it's settled. I guess the high point during the time I was in prison, now this is when he's out waiting, whatever, was when my girl came to visit me. Did you know her father and mine signed my bond? They must think something of me.
Yeah.
Wow. He said, when I first got there, the deputy warden told me to avoid doing formal legal work for any inmate. He said, don't ask me why, that's the rule. But when you're in the yard for 2 hours a day or all day And if you want to, on Saturday and Sunday, they come to you and ask for advice. They know he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
You don't want to offend the inmates, and you can't offend the administration. You find a happy medium. Yeah, so he's got to kind of help these guys. Willie Sutton, the bank robber's in there.
Really?
And he said the talk around the prison, which is full of jailhouse lawyers, is that Sutton knows as much law as most attorneys. He works in the laundry, but he has his own library of law books. Law is his hobby. When anybody has a legal problem, they go talk to him. He's kind of a celebrity behind the walls, and he says, nobody's a celebrity in jail, but I was amazed by his personality. He's shy, not boisterous at all. He's a scholar, self-taught.
He's Andy Dufresne.
Yeah, well, he's talking about Willie Sutton now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Willie Sutton.
Willie Sutton's Andy Dufresne now?
I guess, yeah. So I guess so. He's a scholar, self-taught. He was a respected inmate, but just another inmate.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he thought he was just another inmate, but then the Saturday Evening Post posted articles on basketball gambling and recruiting shortly after he arrived at Attica, and people were yelling out, "Hey, Jack, is this you in the magazine?" And he'd say, "I don't know." Try to.
I didn't read it.
I didn't read it. He said, "Pass the magazine over and let me see." He said they don't usually kid around in state prison, but I guess that article got a rise out of them. They knew it was me, but they were joking. So I guess he got some joke out of him.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he was working, he said, in the tailor shop. The pay was 5 cents a day.
Jesus Christ.
And you must save 2.5 cents of that. That means to write a letter, you must work for 2 days. For 2 weeks, I was not allowed to go to the commissary. I'd been given a carton of cigarettes by the chaplain. I told him I didn't smoke cigarettes. I wanted to know what they were for. I learned cigarettes are a medium of exchange. With them, I could buy stuff from the other inmates who were allowed to go to the commissary. So, yeah, he said he liked to smoke cigars, not cigarettes.
Okay.
But now he's smoking a pipe because cigars are too expensive in there.
Okay.
So he's got a pipe. In Attica, apparently, and this is what it was said by the writers, he is the inspiration for the Burt Reynolds film, The Longest Yard, which then was remade later on. This guy is like in the middle of everything. He is the spoke of history, this guy is.
Unreal.
The spoke of sports criminal history.
He's been at the forefront of Casino, at the forefront of The Longest Yard, the forefront of fucking
mob shit, of sports shit, of gambling shit, of pop culture shit. He's everywhere.
Crazy.
This is insane. That's what I mean.
And nobody's done a story about this man's life.
And while all that was going on, Hitler's raping chicks.
Right.
Yeah, smacking them. I'll do what I want with you.
J. Edgar Hoover's dressing like a gal. This is crazy.
Where do you see what he does from here? This Jack, you think he surprised you all he can? Not even fucking close. Where do you hear? Right. August 18th, 1963. He's granted a stay, so he's allowed to stay out while they figure out what's going on here.
Okay.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
That's what's going on. September 11th, 1963, appeals court reserves decision on request of Jack Molinas. So they're trying to figure out what to do with him. They're going to say, we're not going to say right now. September 13th, 1963, they deny Jack Molinas' stay of extradition. That's for North Carolina.
Okay.
So he's got to go to North Carolina and face those charges as well now. So that's kind of another problem. November 1st, 63, they order him back to Carolina here. So he goes back to Carolina. He was convicted of bribery already, as we know. He released from Attica to go deal with all this shit and to do his appeal. November 27th, 1963, he's charged with basketball fixes and placed in jail in North Carolina. Yeah, so he's there. His bond is set at $10,000. he's I think he's going to get out on that. He's already got a shitload in jail, or a shitload out there in bail. Also that day, December 5th, 1963 here, his trial is set for January 6th down in Raleigh, and he's got charged with bribery for rigged basketball games. June 7th, but we can't find anything on the trial of January 6th. I don't know what happened down in North Carolina.
Okay.
Doesn't matter because that's the smaller one. June 17th, 1964, his conviction is upheld by the Appellate Division of the New York State Supreme Court.
So he has to stay.
His conviction in New York is upheld, that he has been fighting for a couple of years now. They said so. They said that considered Molinas' sentence of 10 to 15 years unnecessarily excessive, and added, were it not for the other related matters, the court would be inclined to modify the sentence. But they're not going to.
Because he's a genuine piece of shit.
Yeah, he did a lot of shit to earn it.
Yeah.
It's not one charge that he got a big thing on. There's multiple charges.
This is racketeering, and he's been doing this for a long, long time.
And trying to get people to perjure themselves in their courts.
Right.
They don't like that generally. Judges get pissy when you tell people to go lie in front of them. They don't like it.
Lie to this judge's face.
They hate that. They just hate that.
Not fans of it.
No. July 11th, 1964, he surrenders to begin his prison term here, a 10 to 15-year prison term.
Wow.
He's got to surrender. Yep, that's it. Completely amoral and everything else. Here he is in jail again.
This is unbelievable. I can't believe this story's real.
It's fucking real. I didn't make any of this one up, I promise.
Wow.
This is fucking real as shit.
Did all this shit. JFK was just assassinated 6 months ago. This is unbelievable.
That was November of 63,
right?
Which was right. Jesus Christ, I'm going to look at the one date.
That's when he was sent, maybe the same day.
December 5th. Yeah, December 5th. What is this?
He was November
27th, 1963.
5 days after JFK
That's when
is
he's
assassinated.
placed in jail in North Carolina. Wow. It was a busy month for him. He's like, who got shot? Where now? Who's that? He's got to begin his term, and the other guys are still in jail. November 10th, 1964, somehow here, he had been obviously serving his term. He goes to the state Supreme Court, and the same guy who sentenced him, which is weird, fucking reduces his sentence.
Is he on the Supreme Court now?
Yeah. And now he's the guy who sentenced him, though, to this. And now he's reducing it to 7 to 12 and a half years in prison, which is a big difference, actually.
He thought better of it.
He thought better of it, I guess. He also reduced the terms of the two men sentenced with him, Joseph Green and Joe Hacken as well.
Really?
Yeah. Very weird. He's still appealing, though. March 2nd, 65. Here, he's convicted. A high court, the Supreme Court, says they don't want to hear any more about him. Basically, we don't want to talk to you. But then October 13th, 65, he is granted. He's serving a 5 to 7.5 year sentence by this time, and the New York State Court of Appeals and the U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear his shit. But now the Judge Harold P. Rourke of the U.S. District Court will hear it.
Okay.
So he appeals his conviction, December 14th, 65, to the U.S. District Court. And he's like, just let me out early, please.
Yeah.
March 9th, 1966. This is fun. Harold P. Burke University, it's U.S. District Court, rejected the petition by Jack that his constitutional rights were violated, and he was charged with the fix and all that kind of shit. His conviction's been upheld now. His latest petition contended the introduction of a tape-recorded conversation as evidence at his trial, and a 5-week interruption of the trial due to a judge's illness infringed upon his constitutional rights. He also said the interruption warranted a mistrial. This judge ruled that the statements obtained from the recorded conversations did not infringe upon his rights, and the 5-week interruption in his trial did not warrant a mistrial. So tough shit. September 3rd, 1966. Here. Okay. Harness fixes were known in New York jail. Harness fixes.
Say again?
Harness fixes. Harness racing.
Horses?
Yeah. It says secrets of the alleged fixing of harness races at the three major raceways were known behind prison walls as well as among conspirators on the outside. It was learned yesterday from a source close to the scandal. Jack Molinas, who's been in prison for more than 2 years for fixing college games, has been giving information about the current horse race scandal that fits in surprisingly well with what has been learned by outside sources. He's talking. He's singing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's singing over here. Wow, he's going to talk about it. I don't care about harness racing scandals, but he's in trouble.
Not much, yeah.
That's the bottom line. February 4th, 1967, he appeals his conviction again.
Really?
He is just an appealing son of a bitch here.
Why, man? Just do the time. You're almost done.
He's a lawyer, though. Think about it. If you're a lawyer and you're sitting in prison, you're just like, well, I'll just keep filing papers. Fuck it. This is what I do.
I don't want to lose.
Yeah. In his appeal, he said that Reed, who retained him as an attorney, was coerced by the Manhattan District Attorney into cooperating with prosecutors and being outfitted with an electronic recorder. So he's still doing that. Mm-hmm. He said that this deprived him of the right to be warned he could remain silent. So that is what they're violating. Okay. That's the state, whatever.
Not reading you your rights.
This is before it was, if they were investigating you, they could just bring in electronic shit.
Yeah.
Well,
if you're just talking near that's how they're trying to get around it. You're talking near a recording device. That's on you.
But you also have to have a warrant for this now.
Yeah.
You can't just have an informant wear a wire and then use it. Mm-hmm. Like they have to have a warrant they have to have an investigation. There's paperwork that goes with not just a warrant. There's different things that go with it.
You're placing the recording device in their vicinity. You're not just setting it on the street and hoping they walks by. That's why.
That's why it's specifically for him.
Yeah.
It's not like he has a recording studio and the guy came in to see him and he was like, "Oh, what's going on now?" And the mics were all hot. You know what I mean? He's going in his basement.
Sit closer to that mic. Just sit right there.
Yeah, if you could sit down next to pull up a little closer. Just right. You know what? Diaphragm. Do you know how to do that? Just from down here. Let's really hear you. March 28th, 1967, they deny him a new hearing.
Okay.
They said he was not unconstitutionally trapped with a listening device. Mm-hmm. So, fuck off. 1968, Roger Brown said, quote, that's one of the guys who was implicated early, an ABA player. I ran around with Molinas when I was going to Wingate High School in Brooklyn, but I didn't know he was a gambler. Yes, I took money from him. Have you ever had someone buy you something to eat? That's what Molinas did. He took me and Connie Hawkins and the other fellas to food stands at Coney Island and other places. Want a hot dog? They said I took $250. That's a lie. It was around $70, but they still printed $250. I guess they did that to make themselves look better. I feel Connie and I were made examples of. Yeah. Molinas, though, said, I still don't think I did anything wrong. I was never arrested or indicted. Oh, this is Roger Brown. I was never arrested or indicted, only named in an indictment. I should have taken a lawyer with me to New York, but I had nothing to hide and didn't feel I needed a lawyer. $10, $15 was a lot of money to a kid not working. I didn't care who Molinas was. He was giving me food money, and if I had to do over, I'd probably do the same thing.
Right.
I would say so here. 68, Molinas is said to have contacts with mobster Thomas Aboli, who will eventually become the acting boss of the Genovese crime family in the early 70s here. June 6, 1969, paroled.
Really?
He is paroled, yes. Mm-hmm. He absolutely is paroled and ready to fucking roll. He said, quote, I was paroled after 4 years, which sounds good, except if you realize that a prison sentence of any kind for a first offender on a nonviolent crime is virtually unheard of. Not anymore, Jack.
No.
Pre-drugs it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they go, well, he's not hurting anybody. Who cares? I'll put him away.
He's hurting himself, right.
There were some things working against me, though. I was one of the very few people involved who turned down a deal to turn state's evidence, for one thing. For another, there was a great deal of publicity about the case. But probably the biggest thing was that I was a practicing attorney and an officer of the court. Maybe that made the sentence fair, but if I served 4 years because I was a lawyer, then what should Spiro Agnew have gotten when he was convicted? I'll tell you what, life. That's Nixon's vice president who had to resign. With weekends in the electric chair. Jesus.
Oh, my God.
Life? Electric chair only on the weekends. But I'm not trying to say I was innocent. I wasn't. I was guilty. I get what he's saying. He said, if they're saying I took advantage of the highest place in society, what about the fucking vice president? What did he do? Yeah, even more exalted.
All these other worse people doing white-collar crimes.
I was just a lawyer.
Right.
So January 19th, 1979, This is fucking amazing. Oh, my God. He's arrested on a charge. Guess what charge?
DUI.
No. That's not
beating
fun.
his wife?
No. He's arrested on on a charge of dressing like Hitler and sexually assaulting him. No. He's arrested on a charge of shipping pornographic films interstate.
I forgot that used to be illegal.
Oh, yeah. held by the FBI on $10,000 bond. Yep. He apparently he was arrested with Dane David Christian, who's a television actor. Okay. Both are to appear in U.S. District Court in Memphis, Tennessee. The two were arrested and arraigned Tuesday after a Memphis federal grand jury indicted them on charges of shipping pornographic films from Los Angeles to Memphis on 2 occasions in 1972.
Don't you ship pussy into the Bible Belt.
These poor guys just waiting on the shipment so they can whack it. Imagine that. Sitting around like a cokehead waiting for the guy to call you back, and instead you're fucking waiting to whack it.
It's a lot of blue balls in Memphis,
Jesus.
man.
He said he got the big titty tab. I want to see them big titty. They were like film strips back then, too. They weren't like VHSs. You got like
whacking in Memphis.
Whacking in Memphis.
How's the working title?
With my
How's the working
dick
title of
right
Walking
now.
in Memphis?
Yeah. It's the best one. Whacking in Memphis.
Tell me, are you a Christian boy? Ma'am, I'm not tonight. I am tugging tonight.
I'm walking with my dick 10 feet off the ground. Walking.
Whacking in Memphis.
That's the one. That song bores the shit out of me, by the way.
I love that song. I can't get enough of it. You don't like it?
I don't like it, no. It's one of those songs when I was a kid, I was like, could you get any more pussy soft shit? I was like, this sucks.
Sing it whacking in Memphis, James. It gets better.
It's funnier that way. I had older cousins that and like an aunt that would like be like, here's like, listen to this. So I was like, that you don't like that shit. Like, I didn't get to, you know what I mean? They were giving me like shit you don't like till you're a teenager. So I was like, fucking thought I was cool. Fuck whacking in Memphis, man. Fuck him. Man. Fuck Hornsby. Fuck the whole range, bitch. I don't care.
Was
that was a
Bruce?
dick.
I think it was.
I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
No, it wasn't. It was some other guy. I think it was a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, Hornsby sings
a one-hit wonder.
Mandolin Rain. That's right.
I think it's a one-hit wonder, if I'm not mistaken.
You might be right.
His name's Mark something or some shit.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Am I?
With a C, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it is. Let me see. Walking in. Yeah, I think it's Mark something. Mark Cohn with a C.
There we go.
I was right. Yeah.
Yes.
Mark Cohn. Mark with a C. Cohn with a C.
Mark Cohn. Yeah, that's very popular in Memphis down there.
A lot of C's because
a lot of cones running around Memphis.
Yeah.
They love them down there.
They also try to get rid of the K's everywhere, though. I'll just put a C on the end of that.
Well, yes. I'm going to say they save up all their K's for other things. I'm running in Memphis.
Mark Cohn's real name had a couple of K's in it. I bet you.
I got some guys with hoods in back of me. Running in Memphis. So, January 21st, 1973, released on porn bond. Here, he was charged with shipping 6 pornographic films, 6 different films.
Get out of here.
That's all they were waiting for.
6 tapes.
Yep. That's it. So, wow. His bond was $10,000, by the way.
How much were those porns?
That's what I mean. They had to be expensive back then because, like, a VHS tape in like 1984 was like $90 for like a fucking to buy a movie. Imagine if there was porn on it.
DVDs in '99 with porn on them. They were like $40.
Porn on them?
They were
really?
so expensive.
Oh, were they like 12 hours long though? Because they were like, we can cram it on into VHS shit.
There was like 6 scenes that were an hour and a half long.
Jesus Christ.
That was a lot of fucking.
Jesus Christ. Now, so far what he's done, I think he's doing a service bringing whacking material to the great chastened people of the South. I think that's a good thing he's done here.
Yeah.
I mean, the gambling and quote unquote maybe might be hurt, but it didn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it
destroys the integrity of a game, I guess.
Which, I mean, college basketball, when has that had integrity?
Right,
Let's be realistic here.
You're making money off of actual new slavery is what that is. That's
the
all.
NCAA is not.
Yeah. It's indentured servitude.
It's something. It's something that's fucking
It's
weird
not good.
here.
Yeah.
They're like, but you get a degree from Louisiana Tech. Oh boy, do I? Wow.
And if you're good enough, you can get out in 2 years and go pro
and not have a degree.
And not have a degree at all.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Not have anything to fall back on, you fucking idiot.
I almost feel bad for Jack Molinas. Almost, but not nearly as bad as I feel for, and hold it for 1 second, wait for it. Jack Molina, without the S.
Yeah.
Dynamic, innovative professional with extensive experience in leadership marketing, innovation, and entrepreneurship. He used innovate twice in one sentence, which I don't care for.
Innovating innovations.
Innovating innovation. And also, Jack Molina, regional operator from Tampa, Florida, at some engineering place. That doesn't matter because that's 2 Jack Molina equaling Jack Molinas. That's what that is.
2 Jack Molinas are plural.
2 is plural, meaning Jack Molinas. So suck on that, everybody.
Both of them together are enough.
And then one Jack Molinas that we did find here was a guy who in 1968 was 33 years old, and we just found him in the newspaper. Ian found this: a man arrested in assault.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's not him. He received 16 stitches in the head Monday at the New Rochelle Hospital after being beaten about the head and shoulders with a baseball bat.
He got mugged real fucking hard.
Well, not really. He was in the home of his ex-wife.
Oh?
He said he'd been visiting his former wife, Miss Joanne Molinas, and had gone to the bathroom. While inside, he heard voices in the living room. As soon as he stepped out, he was assaulted by Donald DeEsso of 1000 Wilmot Road. He broke away and told police and drove to the hospital. The other guy was arrested and charged with first-degree reckless endangerment and second-degree assault.
Why did he do it?
Don't know. I don't know if he was seeing the ex-wife and got pissed off.
Yeah.
That's all I can imagine.
Yeah.
Or she set him up and was like, my husband's here to kick his ass. I don't know what it was, but January 6th, 1974 here. Okay, this is from a Miami Herald article, and they're talking about the all of this shit here with him and everything here. It's fucking, by the way, the porn thing is very fucking silly that he's being arrested for fucking porn. So he says, my first reaction was, you've got to be kidding me. Then I realized he wasn't kidding. He said, it didn't hit me all at once, but when you finally walk into that prison cell, he's talking about when he was in prison, and look at those 4 blank walls, you get the full impact. It's a terrible moment. You ask yourself, was it worth it? And the obvious answer is no. They said, are you ever serious about anything? And he said, about fun.
About gambling. That's
he
fun.
said, about fun. I'm very serious about beautiful women and good food and looking out my window and enjoying the view.
Who the fuck isn't?
I like fun and pussy and wine. That's what I like, is what he just said. And steaks.
I like travel, exotic pussy, and wine. Who the fuck doesn't?
I know most people won't, they'll think I'm being weird, but that's just what I like. To each its own, you know what I mean? You like walking in Memphis, I like this. So they're different things.
That's too funny. Fucking guy.
In the paper, listen to this is such a fluff piece, this article. They say nothing deeper than that, and then it goes on to say, Molinas reached down and patted the head of a puppy. They literally are talking about him petting puppies. That's how much of a fluff piece. Have we ever heard a fluff piece where they literally talk about him petting a puppy? A puppy, a mongrel dog who shares his bachelor existence. Quote, sometimes, he says, I get very stern when I talk to my dog. That's what's deeper. Wow. He said that his attorney, he has nerve, I can tell you. Whoa, big deal. That's great. Jack said he was ready after his return, though. He said he left New York for California 5 years ago, but he's still got his accent they talk about and all that kind of shit. He says that Molinas can't remember exactly when he first met Joe Hacken. He said he was always around. Everybody in my neighborhood knew him. While I was still in high school, he was the bookmaker. Everybody did. We all know the local bookmaker in high school, don't we? The neighborhood bookie.
Yeah.
You know who that is, right?
I had no fucking clue.
Yeah, you knew who to go place a bet with. That's the neighborhood bookie. You know that guy. Wow. He said, Molinas said that, he said the only people who didn't know, his parents didn't really know about it. He said they were homebodies. He said they wanted me to be a dentist. Yeah, he said nowadays he earns his living, quote, wheeling and dealing.
Still hustling.
Yeah, and in real estate and other business ventures. He said that he was a great athlete, and that's fine. But he says about everything, the 51 scandal, the CCNY one, he says, I wasn't involved. Hacken had approached me, and even when I was a freshman, about shaving points, but I wasn't interested. I had enough money, and I was happy. What did I need that nonsense for? I told him forget it, but I didn't report it, and it really didn't shock me. That kind of thing happened all the time in those days, and the players who weren't interested just ignored it. He said during the second term of his academic sophomore year, he said, quote, I was living in a dormitory. It was exam week. One night, things got out of hand, and a bunch of kids in the dormitory staged a small-scale riot, throwing pillows and mattresses and stuff out the window. I thought it was juvenile.
Uh-huh.
Then the next night, a bunch of them started ragging on me. How come the big basketball star was afraid to join in the fun? I said, because it's stupid. You want to see how much smarts it takes to throw something out a window? Here. And he said there was a glass of water on the desk, and I opened up the window and threw it out the window. I said, there, big deal, right? Quote, it was a stupid thing to do, but I was 19 years old. Anyway, I looked out the window, and I saw an old man standing down there looking up. Right away, I knew the water had to have hit him, but I didn't think about it that much. I was 7 floors up, and I didn't think he could see me. That's
7 fucking stories
that's
up.
Dangerous. The next day, I found out that the old man was Professor Mark Van Doren, the dean of men told me. He told me to absent myself from school. That's one way to put it. Absent yourself. So, he talked about all this and talks about the first time he ever gambled was the $5,000 game against Holy Cross that he rolled over. And he said when it started, the game that he threw or shaved, he said, I thought, well, I'll play as well as I can for a while and see what happens. I did, and the game stayed pretty close, so I kept on playing as hard as I could. Finally, they were leading by 2 points with a few seconds left, and we had the ball. But the coach called timeout and set up a play, and I wasn't the shooter, so I never had to make a decision. So he's like, we lost, and that was that. So fuck it. He lost it all, by the way, that summer by betting on major league games, baseball games. He said, I was really into gambling. I didn't care about the money, never did. It was the winning of the glory. That's it. So he said, I'll tell you something. Even later on, when I was the so-called mastermind of this big gambling syndicate, the money didn't mean anything. I wanted to bet and I wanted to win. I didn't need the money. Wow.
What the fuck?
Just wanted these. It's a disease.
I can't imagine, man. I'm so glad I don't have it.
I'm thrilled I don't have that here. He talks more about the gambling, more about all the things like that. January 7th, 1974, they talk about how Jack Molinas handles his own and dates often come to pick him up, they said. Yeah, he likes it. He says, it's beautiful. Back east, that's unheard of, a girl coming to pick you up on a date. But here in California, it happens all the time. Life is very nice here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said it's something less than dull. He likes to wheel and deal in the world of finance. He said it's very similar to gambling. It is gambling.
Yeah, it is.
It's the same thing. It's the same kind of thrill, the same action, moving big numbers around. A good opinion is still very important, only this is completely legal and above board, if you do it right.
Sure.
I'm established here. I have a $100,000 line of credit at my bank. That's for openers. If I need more for a good business deal, I can get more credit. Probably $400,000 on a day's notice for a good deal.
That's frightening. I would never want. Oh my God, that makes my stomach hurt.
Right, and that was back then when that was really,
Jesus.
That was
in
more
the
than
70s.
That was more than a 3-bedroom house in Phoenix at that point. That was they say it's early in the afternoon, and Jack Molinas is sitting on the Swedish modern sofa in his living room. So it's IKEA, nice IKEA he had.
Yeah.
Facing the huge window with the splendid view and 2 stereo speakers, each large enough to house a sumo wrestler. The stereo speakers are silent now, but a big color television set in the corner of the room is blaring the play-by-play analysis of a major football game. Jack said, I don't look back. What's the point? I'm a respectable businessman now. Wow, that's a famous last word.
Yeah.
A respectable businessman might be the title of this episode. A respectable businessman. I enjoy life. I date beautiful girls. I play a little basketball. I even cook a little bit. People out here aren't as aware of the other things as people back east. My name doesn't mean as much. He said, although I have to admit I could probably create one heck of a stir if I walked up to Connie Hawkins some night and threw my arm around him, or snuck up on a referee and shook hands with him and palmed a $100 bill. Some people would remember then, I guess. That's fucking funny. That's hilarious. So he, according to this here, they're talking about, he said the whole thing wasn't difficult. He said the first approach to the player is so general that you can't even really call it an approach, meaning to get a guy to throw a game.
Sure.
He said if he wanted to report it, all he could say would be, this guy wanted to know how I was doing and was I happy and did I have enough money? That's not enough to convict anybody of a crime.
Right.
So how you doing? You got enough money? You doing all right? Blah, 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 blah. So 1975, August 3rd, 1975. By the way, more on porn, because that's...
Is it coming back?
There's some porn stuff coming into this here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're going to enjoy that shit. So, oh, my God. Okay. Here we go. January 7th, 1974.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. That's him with his going back east. I messed up there. So here we go. 1975. August 3rd, 1975. This is from the Charlie Rosen book, The Wizard of Oz here.
Okay.
The house at 9246 Thrush Way featured a swimming pool, a glorious view of L.A. On a clear day, the view stretched to Santa Monica and the ocean. A patio. Yeah.
Thrush Way?
Thrush. That's a disease.
Ew,
that's not
gross.
great.
A patio. The mouth.
Yeah. A patio, a red brick barbecue, and next to the pool, a guest house. The monthly rent was $750, and Molinas had control of the 2-room guest house, deciding who could live there and pocketing whatever rent monies were forthcoming. When Molinas and Noel arrived, 3 drag queens were living in the guest house, and amid a great flurry of no word if any of them were J. Edgar Hoover. We're not sure.
Okay.
Amid a great flurry of feathers, they were booted out. Oh. And they said Molinas is apparently... Oh, we'll talk about it. He said, isn't this the most beautiful place you could live compared to Brooklyn? Now, at that point, after he said that, there's a 28-year-old guy named Eugene Connor who was hiding behind a restraining wall, the firewalls, the concrete ones out west there, that separated the neighbor's house from his house. Connor then pops out of his hiding spot right after Molinas said that. He has a long-barreled .22 caliber pistol on top of the wall that he's steadying and fires 5 shots.
What?
1 hit a window, or 2 hit a window sash. 1 hit his girlfriend.
Oh.
1 hit a puppy in the front paw. He's okay.
Oh, poor bastard.
And 1 hit Jack Molinas in the back of his neck.
Uh-oh.
He fell face up on the patio.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. He's dead.
Oh, what?
Dead. Got taken out. Yeah.
Wow. What was he about to talk about?
Absolutely murdered. I mean.
Just hit.
Yeah. So August 6, 75, they're looking for clues. They're looking for a link between the shooting and anything else. They're looking for Bernice Gussoff, they said, a former business partner. Gussoff was beaten to death in his Los Angeles apartment November 15th, 1974. The police said the murder was never solved, but Molinas collected $500,000 on a life insurance policy, each held on the other as partners in a fur importing business.
Okay.
It was rumored that Molinas may have been behind Gussoff's death in order to collect the life insurance money. So, behind means he had people do it for him, which means that those people...
Wanted payment for something?
Wanted payment. Either he didn't pay up, or they're worried he's going to fucking talk about something.
Right. Because he's been talking about everything.
Yep, he was shot in the head by a sniper at 2 a.m. while he was standing in the backyard of his Hollywood Hills home with his close friend Shirley Marcus, who had arrived a few hours earlier from New York. She was wounded in the neck in the shooting, but the police said they didn't know whether she was a target or an accidental victim. Well, what do you think is the target? The guy with mob ties for the last 25 fucking years, or Shirley, who just got off a plane?
A guy's shot in the fucking head, or
Yeah, which one? Fuck. They said
they're really after that pup.
Yeah, that's what he was into some shit, that puppy. You don't know what he was into. Shortly after Gussoff's murder, the police said they attempted to question Molinas, but were met at his home by 3 barking dogs. Later, Molinas collected the insurance money. Betty Molinas, his mother, reportedly had arrived from New York recently to visit her son and was in Southern California at the time of the murder. The police said his body would be flown to New York for services and burial. Wow. They said, quote, Jack Molinas always did things in a big way. He was fascinated by gambling and rackets. He was a flashy dresser, drove oversized cars, liked to flash big bankrolls, and was almost always surrounded by beautiful women.
Yeah.
Didn't lead a bad 43 years, I gotta say. He had a decent, other than the prison.
43.
Only 43. They said much of it sounds out of place from someone who qualified for Stuyvesant, one of the highest-rated schools in New York. He's very smart. He was also considered an excellent student at Columbia and became a successful lawyer. Wow. They talk about him being convicted and everything like that. Connie Hawkins said, I just thought Jack was a nice guy. That's nice there. That's decent here. Apparently here, Molinas, they talk about that. They talk about how his hook shot was nasty. They said he had a genius IQ who breezed through law school in his spare time and played the stock market and made tons of money.
What a guy.
Molinas, here's a quote, Molinas preferred to wager on sports, but would take bets on anything else, including literally which raindrop would be the first to fall from a windowsill.
That's him.
That's the guy. But that's not who John Douglas talked to. That's just a thing that they all say. They will bet on that.
Wow.
Yeah. As a player, he began shaving points as early as high school. He was 21 when he got kicked out of the NBA for gambling.
Unbelievable, man.
Holy shit, man. Wow. They talk about him just, being a wild guy here. When he got out of prison, went into this is amazing, into the pornography business, as we know, for transporting pornography. Yeah. He also produced 2 films, Jimmy.
What were they, David?
He produced 2 fucking pornography films.
Do I know them? Do you know them? Are they
You've
famous?
never heard. They're from 1970. Okay. No, it's not Deep Throat.
Okay. All right.
One is called, quote, Caught in the Can, which sounds... we all got a picture.
That's nice.
We all got a picture of what that was.
Yeah.
And that is from 1970. It's 1 hour and 5 minutes.
That's a long film.
It's on IMDb. It's got a 3.8 out of 10 with 20 ratings. 20 people have seen this and reviewed it. They're like, I got to go to the internet and talk about this.
That's not just me after eating eggs an hour and a half of IBS.
No, that's this.
I'm caught in the can.
Here is the description of it. 2 broke dudes, in an effort to make some quick cash, dress up as ladies of the night to fleece some sailors. They're going to roll some sailors.
What the fuck is this?
They're going to dress up like Chong trying to get a ride from Cheech in the beginning, up in smoke, and then they're going to do this. It says, unfortunately or not, they end up arrested for prostitution and dumped into the hot box for the night with a bunch of horny ladies. They get dumped into the girls' side. No one ever checked. And now they're going to get fucked to death by all these horny women in here that are finally have a dick. Have
it's a great plot.
It's pretty typical, but yeah. It stars Ron Darby and Gerard Brolard.
Depardieu?
Gerard. Gerard Depardieu is in this.
Yeah.
Casey Lorraine, Debbie Earle, Linda Vroom. That's a good name for a porn star.
Bad.
Early. Sharon Beard. That's not a great name for a porn star.
Terrible name.
And Paul Austin here. So there we go. He produced that. Oh, here we have a review of this. Would you like to hear it?
I would love it.
Okay, 3 stars they gave it. Low budget softcore is what they say about it. Okay. Caught in the Can is a short film with a running time of about 25 minutes. Now, IMDb disagrees. They say 1 hour 5, but we don't know. A couple of guys come up with a bizarre plan to dress up as women. They stand on a street corner and solicit sex from men. Apparently, their plan is to rob a guy once they get him alone. A cop busts them before they're able to find any takers, and they're thrown into jail. Evidently, this cop has awfully poor eyesight because he really thinks they are women and places them in a women's holding cell. One of the guys ends up having sex with one of the women. Good for a few laughs and some rather explicit softcore fun. 3 out of 10. The other thing...
Low budget.
Low budget. The other thing he produced, by the way, directed by the same director, Joseph F. Robertson, starring some of the same people, is called Lord Farthingay's Holiday.
Lord Farthing's
Lord Farthingay.
Farthingay's.
Lord Farthingay is a man, apparently. Lord Farthingay's Holiday, 5.1 stars and 26 reviews here. Okay.
Oh, God.
It is listed as rated X, an hour, 5 minutes, 1972. It also says comedy, too, here, though.
Oh.
Here's the description. Mrs. Updike is hosting Lord Farthingay at her home in his holiday and during his holiday in the USA, but things go wrong when her butler calls an escort agency instead of a music agency.
Oh, damn it.
And when the girls arrive at Mrs. Van Updike, things get out of hand, and soon everyone is having sex with everyone. Mrs. Van Updike is going to have...
Jesus Christ. He really loves to watch group sex. That's his favorite. Yeah.
Well, also, this is a write-off. You make a little money, you make a little money, or they used to dump it in here for write-off. Now, would you like to hear a review of this movie?
Yeah, I
Wanna
do.
know? Okay, let's hear about Lord Farthingay. Okay, 2 stars here for the Lord.
yeah.
Okay. Mildly entertaining bad porn is the title. This was written in 2021, this review.
Oh, my
by the way.
God.
Very recent. The other one was from 2002. Okay. This movie is perhaps the only example of a legitimate screwball comedy that doubles as a porn film from the genre's golden age. This is like they got deep into this shit. The plot is simple and unimaginative. An English aristocrat visits an estate to rest and do some work, but instead of calling in musicians for his entertainment, the owner accidentally calls prostitutes. What follows, you know how that goes. How many times has a squadron of prostitutes arrived at your door and you went, oh, Jesus, I thought I ordered wings and pizza. What happened?
Oh, my.
Fuck.
Where's the band?
Oh,
Shit.
for the love of Christ. What follows is a chaotic afternoon of everyone getting it on with everyone else. The acting is better than expected. Is it really?
Maybe they're really enjoying it.
But nobody in this film is taking it too seriously. Clearly, the intent is to make a more explicit version of the low-budget B-roll sex comedies of the era, and even the performers are veterans of these mostly forgettable productions. It plays like a really naughty version of the Benny Hill Show, which I don't ever want to watch. That sounds disturbing.
Me neither.
Yakety sax playing in the background, and humping a girl's face. I don't want to see that. That's just weird. Of note, most sex scenes draw on a common no means yes trope. Oh, that's always fun.
Yeah. The old rape trope.
The old rape. Is Hitler in this one or no? Is this? Wow. We see the protagonist force himself/herself onto an unwilling target only to see resistance fade once the action gets going. The same basic premise was a staple of future mainstream raunch coms like Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds. It's a reminder of how times have changed, and what we call rape, they called humor. Jesus. This is first and foremost a porn flick. Whereas the nudity leaves no legs unopened, the sex is softcore. Oh, that's wonderful.
No legs unopened.
I like that they took this as seriously as if they were doing an Oscar contending movie.
Yeah,
they
took the old saying of stone unturned and made it legs unopened. It's
legs
beautiful.
Unopened. That's wonderful. The sex is softcore. It's also performed in a more comedic rather than erotic tone. Well, who wants that?
Well, we
I don't want to go.
labia minora.
Who wants to whack it and laugh? Never.
There's nothing funnier than when I come.
No. Have you ever been with
when I laugh?
Have you ever been like actually not whacking it with another human being in the middle of fucking goes, God, I wish she'd say something funny at some point here. Not once.
I wish she would start laughing. This is getting real boring.
Yeah, she hasn't told a joke and her laughs per minute are low. I'll tell you what, this is rough. LPM's not living up to what I expected here. Okay. It is also performed more comedic than erotic. Hardcore films were being made by this time, so why the producers decided not to cross that line is anyone's guess.
Okay.
Aside from a handful of funny gags, this is not a good movie. And it's not even good porn. It is, however, a solid example of why adult films generally fail spectacularly when they attempt to cross the line into mainstream entertainment. Yeah. Right. If you're going to do porn, do porn. If you're doing comedy, do comedy.
Heavy Metal is probably the best porn that ever made it mainstream, right? And that was a more or less it's just a cartoon, right? Heavy Metal?
What's that?
You never seen Heavy Metal?
No, I think the biggest mainstream one was fucking Deep Throat.
I guess, yeah, probably.
Deep Throat
that's the
Deep
most.
Throat made
yeah.
like it was a huge
Oh, it made a
hit.
lot, yeah.
Oh,
and
it
Behind
made
the Green
tons of
Door
money.
too, right?
Behind the Green Door was big
Yeah,
too, but I think
and Debbie
Deep Throat
Does
opened
Dallas?
it up for all
Okay.
that.
All right.
I'm pretty sure. And then then there was the mid 70s. There was a time when normal people would go to a porn theater to watch a movie because that was the hip thing to do, and that's what people were doing. They go, "Did you see that Deep Throat?" And everyone, "Oh no, I'll take the wife tonight." And they'd go fucking see Deep Throat. It was fucking weird. So
yeah.
Anyway, by the way, what is the other one you were describing?
Heavy Metal. It's a cartoon. I remember it being.
Oh, a cartoon.
I don't know if it's all cartoon or not, but I remember cartoon titties and sliding down a dragon.
I can't deal with that either.
Yeah, no.
When people, this fucking anime, like, get the
It was
fuck
kinda,
out of here. No,
I feel like there was live action in it though, but there was certainly.
You need a real boob. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is like, what am I supposed to do with this? I could draw this and then I'm going to whack to it? No, that's not going to work.
I don't know if I saw. Yeah, it's definitely all cartoon. Wow. That's
Creepy.
well, it wasn't until 1981 though, so it doesn't really matter.
God, yeah. I was a little young to watch it then.
Yeah.
You know,
it was
like a
Canadian.
toddler, so. Oh, God, this fucking, God damn it, Canadians. Either make porn or don't.
Ivan Reitman made it.
Oh, so it's supposed to be a comedy then.
Oh, it's certainly funny. Yeah, it's
if
funny, but there
Reitman made it,
is
it's
so
not a
much.
con- it's
There's
not a
so much
porn.
pussy and titty in it, though.
Okay,
It's so
I thought
much.
it was a porn. I was like, okay, it's not a porn.
Yeah, I mean it's a porn, but it's like not a porn.
What's it
Do you know what I
rated?
mean? R for sure.
R. There you go.
For
Yeah,
sure.
So
It might be
shown in
X.
theaters.
It might be X.
What the hell are you doing, Ivan Reitman? What a weird thing for him to be producing.
I don't know. It made $20 million.
That's back then big money too.
Yeah,
That's a decent amount, especially for something that probably cost $500,000 to make. You know,
John fucking Candy's in it, James.
yeah, it's not a porn. It's a cartoon. That's
If John
kind of.
Candy's in it. That's not a porn.
It's an adult cartoon. They made a cartoon for adults, which was like a high concept back then.
Yeah.
And so they had to include some sex stuff in it because it's an adult movie. That's what everybody's interesting. Yeah, John Candy's in it. It's not porn. You don't want to see that part of John Candy's career.
No.
Just,
John Candy's lesser known porn career.
yeah, gut dangling, pounding away. But he's just a great guy. Real fun, funny.
Look, his laughs
hilarious.
per minute are way up.
They're way up. That's the thing. So they said that shot in the back of the head. The investigators think it was almost certainly at the behest of the mob.
Yeah.
It is believed that his debts with the mafia were possibly the reason. He allegedly refused to repay a loan of about $300,000 he received from Los Angeles gangsters.
Oh.
And they think that. In 2002, the New York Times called him, quote, probably the greatest fixer of basketball games in history.
In what year?
In 2002, they called him
Wow.
that in history. So it had been 30 years, and he's still there. He is buried here. Here's his gravestone. He's got the big, got a big lion on it.
Yeah,
Star of David. That's some stuff there. He's Jewish. Yeah, Jacob. He is from 32 to 75, beloved son and brother, buried in the Bethel Cemetery in Paramus, New Jersey. And here's an article in summation here of the whole thing. Quote, once a Chicago mobster had called him in and broken his hand with a hammer. Another time he'd spent hours peering down the barrel of a ready gun before he weaseled out of that one. Some other of his marks had dangled him out of a 15th floor hotel window until he agreed to come up with a bundle he'd caused them to lose on a phony fix. He got vanilla iced over here.
Yeah, he sure did.
They Suge Knighted his ass.
Unbelievable.
Most of the time, it was the simple double cross. He was never careful about who, only about how much. Confident, conniving opportunist was one of the more favorable terms to use to describe him. Totally amoral and absolutely convinced he could get away with anything was another.
He's Woody Harrelson in Money Train. He's everything.
He's all of these people. He's your prototype, archetype fucking film scumbag.
Do you think that he borrowed $300,000, had his partner murdered, and then didn't use that $500,000 to pay back the $300,000, and they were like, "Fuck him"? Then you think that's what it was? It's got to be. The money's so close, and the timeline matches up. It's got to be.
But he probably think about how many deals he had going on, how many he owed money to this one, money to that one. Who knows how many fucking pots
Robbing Peter to pay Paul. Yeah.
How many hands he had in different pots here.
Sure.
Can't get enough of him. Well, I can't. I want to know more, honestly.
I want him alive. I want to know everything.
Yes, I want to know. I want a fucking really good movie about this guy. That other shit.
I mean, every movie is about him.
Yeah. This, by the way, is not available anymore, but it was for a long time. A 1954 Jack Molinas House of David worn satin warm-up suit.
What?
The House of David was a religious commune headquartered in Benton Harbor, Michigan, that he was a part of for a while. The commune required its members to refrain from sex, haircuts, shaving, and the eating of meat.
What?
Yes, the House of David
was invited. He joined a cult?
He joined a cult, yeah. The House of David was invited to participate in the prestigious World Professional Basketball Tournament in 1930 and 1940. They served as an opponent for the Harlem Globetrotters during their 1954 tour of Europe and ceased to field a team after that tour. Inside the rear collar is the word Wilson and manufacturer's tag Selvey written in blue ink. Selvey once scored 100 points in a game at Furman University. Inside the left zipper path is a large satin Wilson tag. Adjacent on the opposite side is a gold satin strap with the 30. It was they got $1,320 for this thing.
Wow, I would have paid that.
Big satin, looks like what a boxer would wear to the ring, except it's
big
short.
robe, and it was his.
It's like a big jacket. Yeah, it was his. It was somebody else, and then he got it after that. So I guess Molinas regular +1 is 46 regular +1 embroidered in the blue chain stitch. Was worn by both Jack Molinas and Frank Selvey. On the left chest is a large red, white, and blue some shit you can see here. Yeah, the Wilson.
Who the fuck bought it?
Somebody in 2012. It was on sale.
God damn it!
Auction ended December 12th, 2012. We're only 11 years late for it.
Yeah,
this close.
Just missed it.
Just missed it. But anyway, that is Jack Molinas.
Oh my God, I want so much more.
I want so much more. That is one fucking doozy of a story, man. That is
fascinating individual.
He is. He's fucking fascinating. So there he is, Jack Molinas, and going back in time, but Lord Farthingay, and Private Life of Hitler. He's got a lot going on here.
Of it, yeah.
You got to know it all. That's the problem. So if you enjoy knowing it all and like these episodes, tell the world about it for sure. Get on whatever app you're listening on, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, this one, that one, and please give us a review. It helps a lot. Most of all, tell your friends. Say Crime and Sports is still alive and kicking and fucking strong, goddammit. So listen to it. Check it out. Also, listen to Your Stupid Opinions, our new show that is goddamn hilarious, where we make fun of all sorts of everybody's opinions from everywhere. Multiple episodes up. You can get a little binge going in a few hours. And I know some people are like, I'm going to save them up for a while. I'm like, don't do that. Just listen. So you're killing our numbers. Yeah. Help us here. Listen weekly. But if you're saving them up, we totally get it. So do that. Listen to those. Also listen to Small Town Murder as well. And certainly go to shutupandgivememurder.com/virtual live. Get your tickets for the Small Town Murder virtual live show. Just like a regular live show. All the pictures, all the comedy, all the weird murder, except Halloween themed and in your living room. Anywhere in the world where you can get internet, you can get us in your living room wearing a very strange couple costume that we've come up with that's very fucking fun, and we think you're going to like it. And we're going to be telling a crazy story. It's October the 26th, and it's available for a week after that. You can buy it early and watch it as many times as you want during that week. You can buy it during that week. You can do whatever you want with it during that week, but you'll be in your pajamas drinking your home booze, smoking whatever you want to smoke on. So do that. Shutupandgivememurder.com/virtual live. Also at shutupandgivememurder.com. Tons of merch, new stuff up all the time. And December 2nd, Dallas, tickets for that available as well. So get in there and do that. You certainly want Patreon.
Patreon, what?
Patreon.com/crime and sports. We'll give you all the bonus material. Anybody $5 a month or above. It's a mere cup of, honestly. $5 doesn't go very far nowadays, but what it does get you is the entire back catalog of bonus materials, over 200 episodes to binge on, and then new ones every other goddamn week. Yeah. This week is no different. What we're going to talk about this week for Crime and Sports, we're going to do another part of athletes who enjoy paying for sex.
Boy, are they fun.
Yep, and we'll find out good times when they get busted, always fun. And then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about the Manhattan, Montana serial killer that we talked about, who was cutting people out of their tents while their parents slept 5 feet away.
Bashing their heads in.
bashing their heads in, kidnapping women, taking them. Yeah, David Meyerhofer gave a full confession of all he did to these multiple people.
Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Then went in his cell and hung himself. So there you go. He let it all fly. We're going to talk all about that
himself
confession.
And set himself free.
That's it. Well, it set us all free from him anyway, which was nice of him to do.
Thank you.
So thank you. So that is that's patreon.com/crime-and-sports. So get in there and do that. Follow us on social media as well at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. That said, damn it.
Hey.
You've heard a crazy story. I want to hear just things that make me feel warm right now. I've heard about the private life of Hitler. I know all about Lord Farthingay. What I really want to know about, though, are the most wonderful people in the goddamn world who keep supporting us and who just make us just proud as hell to be people. Jimmy, hit me with the names of those wonderful goddamn people.
This week's executive producers are Simon Shedd, who just became a Canadian citizen. Congrats, Simon.
With that English accent.
Eric Rodriguez, Susan Sobasinski, Kyle Norwig, and a 64-ounce bottle of ketchup, Annette Hollywood, Becky Visser, and Marie Storham. Thank you all so much for what you're doing. You're fucking incredible. She'll store them for you. Other producers this week are Spalding Smales, Snicker Bar, Jerry's cousin Jeffrey at Parks and Rec, Peyton Meadows.
Jeffrey.
Obviously.
Works for the Parks Department.
Happy birthday, Jeffrey. I don't know.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Boone. A person named Boone.
Boone.
It's his birthday. Her birthday. Their birthday. Somebody's birthday.
Happy
Good for you,
birthday
Boone.
to Boone.
Janice Hill. Joe Mitchell's face pubes. Skeet Spiller, Nathan at Gold Standard Maintenance, and everybody at Gold Standard Maintenance. Thank you so much for what you're doing, wherever the hell you're at. Brenda Liz, Olivia Keogh, Cassidy Jones, Anna Katuz, Kautza, Cassidia and Jones, please.
With cheese. Thank you.
Anna Kautza, Allison Weiss, Erica Tarnacki has 2 patrons. I imagine they are one's for somebody else. Christy Petanuda, or she just loves buying things over and over.
She just likes it. It's
multiple times. Feels good.
We don't discourage.
Luke Cox, Hunter Van Landingham, the Spam Man, Nasa Daly, Bongo with no last name, Paula with no last name, Benjamin Griswold, Taylor with no last name, Megan McIver, that's all right. Yeah, Esther Marie Rico, Liza, Adelasoy, Attilasoy, Dave R, Chris K, Ben Stewart, Cindy Vanden Boss, Austin with no last name, Charles Davis, Shara Crocker, Mandy Jones, Moo Jack, Meredith Howley, maybe Hale, Christina Lavaza, Suzanne Jacobs, Jennifer Hunt, Blake Price, Brandon Coutant. Poutant? What?
Poutant.
It's Coutant. Coutant?
My grandmother would go, ma puttana.
Yeah. Brandon Alsop, John Forrest, Junkie Monkey, Joni Rousseau, Brent Blankenship, Grim79, Benny Mamone, Jack Dicker, all right, Ashley Childers, Raymond Stalker, Shama with no last name, Stephanie Henderson, TJ, Garrett Shockley, Stephanie Colvin Covington, Katie Dobrinska, oh boy, Sarah Mitch, Kate Salvatore, Christopher Herndon, Mary Jo Dam Strong, Vic Salvatore, Scott McAllister, PJEB, Susan with no last name, Jesse B, Caliburge, Sarah Barnhart, David Askew, Timothy Burleson, Christopher Adams, Cheryl Marie, Michelle Lehman, Joshua Chandler, Garrison Ford, what? It's a good name.
It sounds like
it's
senator
like Harrison,
in the 1800s,
or like Harrison Ford.
Yeah. I was going to say, it sounds like somebody who's giving the speech of why Alabama's seceding from the Union.
Garrison Ford.
Senator Garrison Ford will represent us now.
Of Alabama.
And he starts talking about...
Oh, boy. Horrible things. Eric Black, Austin Martin, Laura Benz, Kayla J., Alexi Del Rosario, Juan with no last name, Caitlin Elmer, Bio Hellhound HD, Sprinkles on the Cake, Kate Topcock, Annie with no last name, Elizabeth Trapp, David Garcia, Gabrielle, Faulkner, Will with no last name, Haley with no last name, Trudy Talborg, Parker Henry, Say Moose 2, Gabe Gassman, Austin Owens, Jamie Hammer, Iselin, Angelia Houses Halverson. Fucking hell. Kirk the Turk. Cynthia Whitlock, Danielle Patton, maybe Daniel Patton. I don't know which one it is. It's Danyel. Is that? I've never seen that.
I've never
is
seen
that
that
Danielle
either.
or is that Daniel? What are we doing there? I can't tell you.
Danielle.
It's got to be Danielle, right?
I think it is.
Y makes yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a yell. I would if you said spell Danielle weird, I'd spell it like that.
I'd put 2 L's maybe.
Make it happen.
Danielle.
I go, okay, I guess like that.
Lindsay Bowley, Valentine Madrigal, Dennis Desgrosiers, Absent Denise Dennis Disgrazia. Absinthe Minded, Melissa Wainwood, Travis Brimner, Law Lee, Melissa Martin, Ziggy E, Kyle Garner, Emily McKenzie, Corey Thorstensen, Matt Sandage, Kristen Hoffman, Maddie Springer, Hannah Peters, Susan Turner, Anna Costello, Nick with no last name, Luke Goldsberry, Benny with no last name, Matthew Jaliski, Corey with no last name, Kim Bagley, Coy Stevens, Adrian Jorgensen, Valerie Woods, Kelly Saxey, Susan with no last name, Sarah with no last name, Ruby Soho, Tiffany Uda Gengia, Cameron Attaway, Shayna Fennessy, Ryan Adams, Mark McClellan, Anna Thiessen, Tiffany Amber's sister.
Obviously.
That's right.
And Ryan Adams with all of his albums. He's got $5 to throw out.
Guy's a great guy. He's got so much money.
So
Caitlin
much
Kay, Justine Locker, Lisa with no last name, Adam with no last name, Kimberly Davis, Anthony Manzella, Jeff Miller, Matthew Cabrera, yes, Sandra Fellows. He's a good dude. He really is. He's
tons of cash.
Big fan. Melissa Perry, Brady, Allison Hall,
Tom's son,
Declan Horace. I dare you to find a Horace.
I don't know that one. There's Anthony Michael's sister on the other one, and then there's one.
Chelsea Crum, Harry's kid. Davey Tollady.
She knows who Harry Crum is.
Sean Jernigan. Oh boy. Brian Dalton, Stelly Ford, Ellie Elder, Brandy Akins, Vanessa with no last name, Daniel Smith, Megan Messias, Gary Brown, and all of our patrons. You're phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, so much. You wonderful, goddamn, magnificent bastards.
Yeah.
We love you so much. Thanks for all that you do for us. Thanks for hanging with us. And thanks, some of you, for hanging with us for like 7 years now. We really appreciate the hell out of almost 8. Pushing 8. So thank you for what you've done for us. Thank you for always hanging with us. If you want to get a hold of us, very easy to do that. There's links to all of our social media stuff at shutupandgivememurder.com. So come hang out. Come check out a live show. See us, talk to us, spread the word.
See you there.
The crime and sports movement will live on.
It moves.
And we will be here, and we'll keep being here. And live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.